Welcome to another St. Pete by Night revamped production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
In the heart of night, we rise from shadows, howling at the moon, igniting our battles, cleansing dire of an endless fight, until our final days we will fight. Thanks, man, we stand united as one. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the brave dare tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hand. Together we rise, take our final stand. Everywhere we run, the wind is at our back. All the warring forces we will track. From the depths of the ocean to the clouds in the sky, vampires tremble as we learn to fight. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the brave dare tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hand. Together we rise, take a final stand. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Everywhere with the pack, let the night be our guide. In battles of honor, we shall never hide. Fuck the never hide.
Good evening and welcome to the St. Pete by Night Twitch channel where we play St. Petersburg by Night, a massive multiplayer 5th edition World of Darkness Chronicle set in the city of St. Petersburg, Florida. But if you're here and it's Tuesday night, it's Rage Across Tampa, our Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition Chronicle. My name is Kent, also known as Misha Kent on all social media. I am the lead storyteller of St. Pete by Night and the storyteller of Rage Across Tampa, and I couldn't be happier to be here with you this evening. It's been a month, a very, very long and arduous month for our werewolf pack as they have waited in desperation to resolve some issues that were left over after last time we met. Go follow St. Pete by Night on all of the social media listed down below. And if you're interested in the World of Darkness, come join our community. There is a Discord link listed in the description. So you can join us, you can get in the game, you could potentially join one of our many tables. And soon enough, we will be offering play-by-post options for those of you who are spread across the world or unable to commit to a voice live play game. There is going to be some options available to you. So before we get into our story tonight, of course, we have to introduce our amazing, amazing players who make up this werewolf pack. So, players, take it away.
Hey everybody, happy to be back. My name is Preston. I play Aiden Goodspeed, the Arun of the Gale Stalkers.
Hi, everybody. I'm Champ Champagne, Truthful Timmy, the blowjob queen of Saskatoon, whatever you want to call me. And I will be playing Aspen Wise, Philodox of the Silver Fangs.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nori, and I will be playing Malicious Jester, the Galliard of the Black Furies.
Walks, you're muted.
Not anymore. Hi, everybody. I'm Walks, and I'll be playing Lucas Shaw, the Ragabash of the Shadow Lords.
So for those of you who've been paying attention to Rage Across Tampa, you might have noticed we had a little bit of a glow up for our return from break. A new theme song written by Preston and myself. That is a new addition to our stream that we were very, very excited to debut tonight. Also, you might notice some new art on the channel here and on this particular stream, brought to you by the lovely Crafty Mirage and Chromatic Creation. We are so happy to kind of freshen things up, to bring things back as the story continues to ramp up in intensity and danger. That being said, let's catch everyone up as to where we are. Last time we met a month ago, the pack executed a pretty well orchestrated plan against a plasma laboratory that had been uncovered to be a secret hideout and source of food for the Tampa Camarilla. A source of food that, if it were to be disrupted, could cause some major problems for the leeches of Tampa. It could cause some setbacks and could strike a necessary blow to give the Garou a little bit of breathing room. As they infiltrated the factory, they were able to get the goods, to take out the individuals managing the factory, and to get the supplies for Spud, the thin blood who has been their contact and resource for all things kindred in Tampa so far. Of course, there was an opportunity presented to the pack to do even more damage that they still, to this day, don't know the full ramifications of. But what they know is when a certain code was entered into a computer within the laboratory, a fire broke out, destroying the remains of the plasma resources and storeroom, injuring Charles pretty badly in the process, and supposedly launching such kill codes to other resources all across the area, possibly all the way up the eastern seaboard. But that's all still to be determined. As our story begins tonight, it's still a month ago. It's still that same evening. The pack, taking their well-gotten gains, went to the drop point where they were supposed to drop the supplies for Spud, hoping to reconvene and touch base again at a later date. So driving the paneled truck, you take it to the drop zone, drop off the goods, and are on your way, leaving the truck behind, taking Regina and Charles's vehicle to leave the scene to return to the cairn. Already seeing Charles's less than good condition, considering the fact that even with Aspen's healing, he's got a lot of healing still to do from the various burn wounds all up and down his body. Artie volunteers to take Charles's car and to take Charles back to a location to give him some time to recover and heal. The rest of you, rather unscathed in the incident, reconvene within Regina, climbing into the beaten up green Jeep, preparing to drive away, when Jester, your phone rings. As you pick up the phone to see who's calling, you see that Chloe is on the caller ID.
Hey, what's up?
As soon as you pick up the phone, you hear panting, gasping, and what sounds like sobs issuing from the other side of the phone. Jess, are you there?
Yeah, what's wrong?
It's Eliza. I don't know what happened. We were at the trailer, settling in for the night, and this woman, this horrible woman, showed up. She punched a hole through the side of the trailer, and I don't know what happened, but Eliza told me to run, and so I did. I ran as far as I could, as fast as I could, but all I could hear was smashing and breaking, glass shattering, snarls, even a yelp. You have to help me. I don't know what to do.
At this point, all the color will have drained from Jester's face. She's just staring for a moment. Can you get to Lettuce Lake?
I don't know. I don't have a vehicle. I mean, I could get an Uber or something.
Yeah, get a Uber to Lettuce Lake.
Okay.
We'll meet you there soon.
Eliza didn't follow me. I don't know where she is. I don't know what happened to her.
Okay.
I'll get to the park.
Go to the park.
She hangs up the phone.
We need to go to Eliza's now. I think Mary's attacking her.
Let's go. Let's go.
Don't even say anything. I'm just gonna whip the car
Okay.
and start driving.
Almost as if Regina herself had heard both ends of the phone call. The wheel almost jerks in your grasp, turning around, whipping the car, the sound of tires screeching, the smell of burnt rubber on the pavement, almost immediately assaulting your senses as the Jeep whips around and starts driving at a rapid rate in the direction of the trailer park where Eliza is known to take refuge. You have probably a good 10, 15 minutes to get there. What's going through each of your minds as the vehicle is driving as quickly as possible in that direction? Aiden, we'll start with you.
Upon hearing what's going on, trying to figure out the best way to go about this. He's heard about Mary and the different things she can do, but there are 4 Garou. They're about to just arrive, possibly something she wasn't expecting. So he's trying to figure out a best tactical way to try and get there and make sure everyone gets out safe.
Okay. Aspen.
Aspen is trying not to panic, trying to keep calm, trying to listen to the words that Charles had told her previously to keep calm and not to worry. She's driving the best she can. She's just really hoping over and over that Eliza is okay. And there's a little bit of her that's just like, can we just have one win with no problems? Like, that would be lovely.
Jester.
Not so much thoughts, it's pure fear for Eliza, given the memories I have from Ryder of like all the other previous attacks and how no one really, barely anyone made it out. Trying to keep calm and not panic, gripping my phone really tightly as I'm staring out the window.
Lucas.
Lucas has taken out his clave and it's sitting on his lap. He's got one hand on it and he's just kind of staring at it and staring at the ground. And he's just going over in his head everything he ever learned in Chicago, every word that was ever spoken about leeches, every weakness, every tactic. He is doing his best to prepare himself, but in the back of his mind, it's just not another one. I'm not going to lose another one. Not another one. Just over and over again.
The overhead lights that line the street send a dull glow over your faces as they whip by. The streets are rather empty as it has gotten later into the evening, but darkness creeps in from all sides, from all angles. And as silence hangs in the air, no one deigning to speak, your hearts race, pounding against each of your chests, because for one reason or another, each of you has developed a connection to Eliza, to the Theurge, to the Stargazer, who would have been considered an outcast, a traitor, someone not to be trusted by the Garou nation in times gone past. You've found a connection. You've found a relationship. You've found a mentor, a friend, a mother figure, a teacher, a guide. Because while you all come from varying backgrounds, varying experiences, you're all still fairly new to what it is to be Garou, to truly be Garou. With all of your changes happening with only the last few years, you're still trying to find your feet in this world, trying to understand the spirits, the responsibilities, everything that weighs upon you in this fight for Gaia, in this fight against the worm. So while the silence hangs The vehicle keeps moving until it rounds a corner, heading down a long street that you know Eliza's lies maybe only a few miles away, but with every passing second, with every passing minute, it feels like an eternity stretching on. It's not hard to see, even from still some distance away, some 5 or so miles away, the plume of smoke that's rising up into the sky on the horizon. A horizon that it doesn't take the most sharp-eyed individual, the most aware or steadfast tracker to know is coming from that trailer park, and is likely coming from the home of Eliza Ross. As you continue to drive forward, breaking every speed limit known to man, even going so far as to drive up on the sidewalk or over medians to get around traffic to get where you need to go, within about a mile of the trailer park, you can see a flashing array of colors, blue and red, shining out from quite some distance away. As you draw closer, you can see that the origin of the light, of the flashing, seems to come from the driveway that leads into the trailer park itself. You can see that there are barricades erected and 2 cruisers blocking the driveway itself. A variety of police officers milling about the area, some trying to direct traffic. They're even, it appears, in the process of setting up barricades to block off the road itself. The scene is yours.
I will pull up as close as I can, but start to slow down. Do we all
As-
want to hop out from here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you drive closer to the trailer park, you can see that traffic has already started to back up, that there are many red lights ahead of you, tail lights, kind of illuminating the darkened street. Pulling off into the side shoulder of the road, you stop the Jeep. How far away would you like to stop?
How close can we get with like all of the traffic and everything before
I
it
would say
gets?
the closest you can get is probably the next major intersection, where they seem to have another set of cruisers blocking the road, and they seem to be redirecting traffic away from the road that would lead to the driveway itself.
Okay, then as close as we can possibly get without being like redirected in any sort of direction, and just pull off to the side of the road and park Regina.
Okay. So as the Jeep comes to a shuddering halt, Aspen, you can feel the engine still revving, as if Regina wants to plow ahead, wants to drive through those cruisers in the way, wants to clear any and all obstacles to get where she's going, but she follows your direction and does not seem to urge you forward, despite all the instincts in her wanting to. And eventually the engine does die off.
I'll pet the steering wheel just for a moment and we'll figure it out. It'll be okay. Just wait here in case we need you. Turn
I'm
to the rest of the group.
I've already got the door open, like halfway hopping out of the Jeep.
Do you want me to check it out?
Well, we need to know we're getting into a bunch of cops here. Do we want to just run in and figure out what's going on, or do we want to kind of go around it so we're not getting asked questions? What do you guys want to do? If you guys want to run in, I'm here for that, but I just need to know we're all together on this.
I was gonna sneak around. Just cops are on the road. So we're just gonna go around them.
They might be around the whole house. If that's where this is from.
Lucas is going to shift into Lupus and just take off on a wide circle towards the trailer.
Okay.
He's not even going to talk to anybody.
So leaping out of the vehicle, you make the quick and swift transition, dropping down onto all fours and lurching off into the darkness off the side of the road. Go ahead and roll me a dexterity and stealth check, as this is a fairly heavily trafficked road at the moment because of the backup, and attempting not to be seen could be a little more difficult, especially as the traffic starts to pile up.
Are we at rage 2?
I would say because of the circumstances, you are all at rage 3 at the moment.
Four successes.
4 successes. Okay, making the transition, you immediately go into one of the storm drains that kind of dip down off the side of the road, just barely past the shoulder, but it's enough to grant you cover, to grant you shadows, to obscure your transition and your change, and you immediately go running off into a nearby alleyway that goes between some businesses that seem to have positioned themselves along this block, disappearing from sight. Aspen, Aiden, Jester, what are you doing?
I guess that made that decision.
You guys go ahead. See what I can do about the information from the cops.
Okay.
The whole staying together thing.
Well, that went out the window. Lucas is gone. So
Well, then I'll stay with you.
Okay. I'll go find Lucas.
Okay. So, Jester, moving away from the vehicle, are you going to make a change? Are you going to transition?
I'm gonna slip into an alley before I make a change.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a dexterity and stealth anyway, although I'll give you a 2 dice bonus, as you are not making the change before you hit the alley. You're doing so after passing out of sight.
Three successes.
3 successes. So you are able to find your way midway down the alley before dropping down onto all fours, assuming your lupus form. Roll me a wits and survival now to see if you can pick up on Lucas's scent, because he has already got a pretty wide lead on you at the moment, but with the right kind of intuition and instinct, you might be able to shorten the time it would take to catch up with him.
2 successes.
2 successes. You do catch up on his scent, but it does take a little bit of finding to keep it. It does take a little bit of, stopping, pausing, trying to re-pick up the scent. But you are behind him, and you think that if he stops moving, you'll be able to gain some ground. But right now, you're probably as far back as you were when he first left. But you are on his tail.
Okay.
Aiden and Aspen, the two of you are left alone.
Aiden, I don't trust it. I need to know if there's anything else going on. We all know that Mary possibly has something going on with the cops, and I need to know that. So I can't just sneak in, but you might be better with them.
Okay. 5 minutes. I'm gonna turn back. I expect a text or something. Let me know you're okay.
I will.
And go into Lupus once he. Actually, no, he wouldn't think about that. No, he's just changing and going.
Okay. So go ahead and roll me a dexterity and stealth as well, as more cars seem to be slowing down on the edge of the roadway, approaching the barricades and being redirected.
I personally would like to run with him towards that direction because I want to get as close to the house with avoiding the cops in the traffic before I start having those conversations with the police officers.
Okay. So using Aspen as a little bit of cover, Aiden, you are able to go undetected, making the transition in the same storm drain that Lucas seemed to before continuing onward. Aspen, based off of the situation right now, you don't really have any means to get closer. You could get up to the intersection itself, where it seems like they've barricaded off the road, where there are 2 cruisers and probably 4 police officers standing, one of them redirecting traffic, the other 3 talking, one of them listening very carefully to a radio. Are you hoping to approach the barricade, or are you trying to find another means to get closer to the trailer park?
I want to find another means to get close to the trailer park, but I'm not like a necessarily sneaky person, and I know that's not my strong suit. So I'm trying to do my best, and if I have to, I'm going to talk my way out of getting closer if I can.
Okay, give me a wits and survival or streetwise. I'll give you a choice of the two to try and find a path to maybe give some room to the barricade to try and sneak your way through.
With her still being near me, could I assist with that?
Sure, why not? So you can add an extra die, Aspen.
So that's a 5 with a crit.
5 with the crit. So there is a potential that you could bypass the barricade and get a little bit closer, but it's going to be probably a very muddy approach. You're probably going to have to move down the street a little ways, and at that point you'd be circumventing the barricade. You're not exactly sure how close you can get, but you would be able to get closer than you would if you approach the barricade directly. However, your clothes, are probably going to get a little messed up in the process, as there are these storm drains that are filled with the rain and the runoff from the previous rainfalls that have been hitting the state over the last few months. And you will probably have to go through some light woodland to try and approach, going around behind some houses and possibly into some neighborhoods that surround the trailer park itself.
Okay.
Okay. Lucas, you are making a beeline. Where are you headed?
He's trying to get to the closest building that's maybe 1 story or taller to Eliza's trailer.
Okay. Roll me a wits and awareness check as you're trying to suss out the surroundings.
Three successes.
Okay, so across the road from the industrial complex that you originally kind of made your way off in, you can cross across, and it seems like there are several small, rather modest houses that line the street across the street from the industrial complex. Beyond that, there seems to be a thicket of woods between the trailer park and these houses. You'd probably need to go another 300 or 400 yards beyond the back of the houses to get to the trailer park itself.
Okay, he'll head for the woods.
So going past the houses across the street, you head into the woods, attempting to get as close as you can to the trailer park, keeping your wits and awareness score as you get into the thick woodland. It's not very well maintained. There's a lot of fallen wood, a lot of potential to make some sounds, but it is a light forest overall. It seems to be more of almost like a privacy screen of sorts, or just a separation between the trailer park. I'll keep your dexterity and stealth score as well as you make your way through that woodland, taking your footfalls, slowing down your pace agonizingly to try and go undetected. But eventually you get to the other side of the woodland where you can see the back of several trailers, which seem to be the trailers that line that long driveway that leads to Eliza's at the very end. There are lights on in almost every single trailer, but there aren't any occupants milling about. What you can see is that beyond the trailers, the whole driveway itself seems to be illuminated by these flashing red and blue lights from several police cruisers that line the streets. Sharpening your ears as best as possible, you can hear some idle chatter happening from the driveway side of the trailers, where there are occupants kind of talking amongst themselves, possibly other residents of the trailer park itself, trying to figure out what's going on. You can hear police barking orders, trying to evacuate the residents from the area while they continue their investigation, or at least trying to take control of the situation itself. But more than anything, you can smell the thick, heavy smoke and that big plume that erupts itself into the sky is definitely coming from the far end of that driveway, furthest away from the main roadway, exactly where Eliza's plot would be.
As soon as I can get my eyes on one of the police officers and see one of their radios, I'm going to use Spider Song to tap into that radio and listen to the chatter.
Okay. Yeah, as you're activating that gift, I'm going to transition to Jester. Jester, you have been trying to follow behind Lucas's scent as best as possible. It takes a few minutes before you find yourself around the back of the industrial complex at the same roadway. The scent appears to go directly across the road. However, you're finding a rough course of entry as a lot of the vehicles that are being sent away from that particular intersection are either going down the street that you're attempting to cross or are turning back and going back the other way. So there is a fair bit of traffic, the occasional vehicle passing by, blocking you from going across the road. You'd have to pick your point very carefully if you were going to try and go undetected.
Okay. I will attempt to try and go undetected.
Okay. So I will give you either a dexterity and stealth or wits and stealth to try and pick your point carefully.
Okay. It's the same either way. I'll go with this point with wits and stealth.
Okay.
Sweet. 8 successes with a crit.
8 successes with a critical. Easy enough. You find a moment when a vehicle has just passed by, but before another can turn down this street to make your way across the street, running at a full tilt in your lupus form, feeling your foot pads going from the gravel of the driveway that you were in onto the heavy concrete of the road, across the median, and across to the several houses that are on the other side. Roll me another wits and survival test to try and pick up Lucas's scent. It's getting a little bit more difficult as the stench of the smoke is starting to fill your nostrils, and the various exhaust fumes from the vehicles nearby are making it a little harder to pick out that particular scent.
1 success.
So as you get to the other side of the road, you lose Lucas's trail. You're not exactly sure where he's gone from here, but he is obviously on this side. You know that much for sure.
I'm going to swing my head around, look in the direction of Eliza's trailer.
Okay.
Fuck it. Hopefully he's there, or I'll see him there. I'm going to try to map out the most stealthy way I can get there to Eliza's trailer.
With your same wits and survival check, you don't see an easy point of access. There are several fences. You'd have to likely go through one of the yards of the people that live along this roadway. The houses are all kind of positioned up next to each other with very, very small, modest yards out front of the houses themselves. You can see several lights are on within the houses because whatever had happened here has definitely garnered a lot of attention. Nobody is sleeping this late at night, and a lot of people have probably been woken up from the sounds of sirens plus whatever happened at the trailer park beyond. You think that you could potentially get to the woodland that you see behind these fences, but you would have to likely scale the fences and make your way across and try to get there through the woods itself. That's probably your best point of access. There's not a good one off of the road.
Okay. I'm going to try that then.
Okay, give me a strength or dex and athletics to try and leap over some of the fences, or at least climb over any chain link that you can find, something you can get a footfall on. Your stealth is still good. You're going to go undetected even in this attempt, but
3 successes.
3 successes. Okay, it's a little bit arduous, but you are able to find a chain link fence rather than the paneled vinyl fences that would be a lot harder to scale and using your paws, you can get a good hook on them to clamber your way over, making your way through a backyard and climbing over the same chain link fence that covers the back area of the yard, going into the woods beyond. Aiden, where are you headed?
Trying to follow the scent of Lucas and Jester.
Give me a wits and survival.
Can I add my favor as I am pursuing?
You sure can.
Sweet. Six
successes. Honestly, it doesn't take you very long to cross the roadway, to hook onto Jester's scent especially. You can definitely detect Lucas's, but at a certain point as you get across the road, you find that Lucas and Jester's scents separate. Lucas kind of heading straight across the street, straight past this house, and Jester's continuing down the road a little bit before ducking in. You actually hear the rattle of chain link fence, and with your eyes accustomed to the dark, you can see the back end and tail of what is likely Jester's form going over the fence.
Where I'm standing, do I see any distressful marks in the dirt or ground, suggesting that there's something that caused them to split off?
There doesn't seem to be any tracks or anything that seems to have caused this disturbance. If anything, you can narrow in on those scents a little bit more and know that Lucas's scent is a little less potent as Jester's. Jester's is fresh. Lucas's has probably had a few minutes to settle.
Okay. Seeing her back end go over the fence, going to do a small little yip cry out to try and get her attention.
Okay. Jester, I'm not even going to make you roll for it. You do hear the sound of a short, like, clipped bark or yip from behind you that you would recognize to be Aiden's off the street that you just climbed over a fence from.
Okay. How far am I from the woods?
You're probably about 300 or 400 yards away. You'd have to get over the back fence of this, cross a little bit of kind of open clearing, and then get into the woods.
I'll yip back.
Aiden, what were you trying to communicate at first with your first yip?
Get your ass back over here.
Okay. Because, yeah, I'll look to the woods. Then I'll be like, fine. I guess I'm going to climb back over the fence.
I'm not even going to make you roll for it. You're able to scramble back over the fence again, and the two wolves are reunited on the roadway. It probably wouldn't be a great idea to stay here for long, but you can likely take cover in some of the shadows of one of those vinyl fences nearby.
Going to look at her and then look towards the woods, towards Lucas's initial scent, and kind of give the idea, like, just follow me, and then he's going to head off.
So Aiden, almost like a pointer dog, directs his whole body in a specific direction, signaling for you to follow before passing through into that yard.
Do you want me to do another roll to pick up a scent again?
No, you got enough successes that you can pick out the scents and follow them for a good while before you'd have to make another roll.
And then we'll make our way into the woods.
Okay. Aspen, you're still in your Hamid form, correct? And you have basically taken to foot along the sidewalk leading down the same road that they went down, although they're a little faster and a little further away than you. But what is your intention here?
So my intention is to get as close to the house as I possibly can. If I am stopped by a police officer, I just want to get a little bit of information and see if I can pretty talk my way through, because that's going to be my best way of getting through versus these ones who are much better at the werewolf stuff than I am.
Okay, so since you gave the barricade a wide berth, doesn't seem like anything should obstruct you. You would probably have to follow a similar path as your lupine companions who are going through yards and hopping over fences if you wanted to get any closer. It seems the only point of access, the only driveway that's going to get you to Eliza's is the one off of the road by the barricade, and to try and get around the barricade would probably draw a lot of attention to yourself.
Okay, well then with all of that happening, then I'm just gonna follow after them. I would, if I can kind of sneak into like a wooded area or obscured spot, I'd probably go into Glabro.
Okay. Give me a wits and survival check to try and find a good spot, a good egress where you could make this transition a little easier.
That's 2.
2 successes. So it takes some time for you to find anywhere, but you do eventually come to one of these roadside houses that has a chain link fence. It's a little further down the road than you would like. You kind of have to keep checking as you're moving along, but you do find one where there appears to be a gate that slides across a driveway that blocks off the entirety of the yard, but the gate is open at this current moment. There is a car parked in the driveway. It's off. There are a few lights on in the house, but you think you could get into the backyard just by passing through this gate, and possibly alongside the house you could make your transition if you choose to.
Okay.
Go ahead and make the 2 rage checks for the transition, or the 1 rage check for the transition into Glabro.
I lose a rage.
Okay, so as you try your best to go undetected, your thoughts racing with thoughts of Eliza and now the other members of your pack who are not within an easily controllable radius of you at the moment, you do make the shift, but the worry seeps in. So as you drop down into all fours, hulking and growing, a lot more massive than a typical animal would be, you are down and moving along, but you can feel that fear kind of starting to grasp at your heart, that worry, that doubt starting to force its way in. And you said Glabro, so you're actually a demi-human. You're growing in human size, not in wolf size. So as you stalk past one of the windows, growing in height, the muscles filling out underneath your clothing, you can spy in one of the windows that there are people standing in the kitchen chatting, but they don't seem to have detected you as you move along the side of the house. Lucas, go ahead and describe that gift and tell me what the role is.
Spider Song. By listening to the vibrations of the Weaver's web, Werewolf can eavesdrop on any kind of long-distance verbal communications, whether sent by airborne signal or through the wired connection. The Garou must be aware that a conversation is happening to listen to it, though they don't need to know the identities of the participants. It is a wisdom gift. Cost of willpower. It's a resolve plus wisdom. Number of successes indicates how much of the conversation I catch. If it is airborne communications, I just have to see it. If it is wired communications, I have to be able to touch it.
Okay.
And if it's encrypted, it increases the difficulty by 1.
So it is not wired and it is not encrypted. You do see a police officer walking by talking on one of their kind of radios that are clipped to their lapel. Go ahead and make the roll for that.
2 successes.
2 successes. The conversation's muddled. You're not picking up every syllable, every word as it comes in and out. But from the gist of what you're hearing that they are, with a great deal of persistence, trying to evacuate as many of the residents of the trailer park as possible. You do hear that fire is on its way to try and douse the flames, but that they are still 10 or so minutes out because of the traffic that has started to pile up around the roadway, around the intersection. Their approach is stalled for the moment, but they're on their way.
He's going to hold his position and continue to listen. He's very specifically tuning in on the status of anybody that might have been in the fire, or any bodies, or any persons that were taken by EMS. He's searching for some kind of sign for Eliza.
In the broken, kind of staticky chatter, you don't hear any mention of any casualties, of any victims. They seem to be more focused on containing the situation, that there isn't an active investigation taking place at this moment. But as you're focusing, Aiden, Jester, it takes you no time at all to catch up till you see Lucas at the edge of the woods, kind of right where it crests into the back of the trailers, focused on something that is happening on the other side of the trailers.
Aiden will still trying to be stealthy, but let Lucas know that they're coming with another yip to him, just something that he can recognize.
Yeah, so through the static and the broken words that you're hearing on the radio, you do hear the yip kind of calling your attention behind you. It's very soft and it's very clipped, but based off of the clamor that's happening within the trailer park at the moment, it doesn't seem like anything would have detected it. And you're aware that Aiden is behind you.
He won't turn around. He won't unlock his gaze from the walkie-talkie that he's looking at, but he'll just a soft, non-threatening like growl, just a short one.
From this position, now that he's caught up, am I able to, this might be a little bit far-fetched, pick up Eliza's scent from where we currently are?
It is going to be excruciatingly difficult based off of the smoke, but I'll let you make the attempt with a wits and survival.
Okay.
I'm going to approach and get closer, or like move up to where Lucas is.
5.
Even with 5 successes, all you smell is smoke. You can smell a bunch of other scents coming from the trailer park, whether it's residents, whether it's the police. There's a lot of activity happening on the other side that you're able to pick out from the smoke itself, but you are still probably 5 or 6 trailers away from the edge of, or the end of the road where Eliza's trailer is, and there's no scent to be detected.
Okay. At that point, Aiden's going to nudge Lucas a little bit and just kind of show that he's going to keep going down towards Eliza's house.
Lucas will just give him a nod.
Start moving towards Eliza's as well.
So Aiden and Jester separating off from Lucas, you follow along behind the back of the trailers. I'd like you to both make dexterity and stealth checks. You cannot assist one another. This is going to be a group check.
Another 5.
5 successes. Okay.
4 successes.
Okay. Keeping low to the ground, using the shade of the trailers, even the glowing windows of the several trailers that you're passing by, you're able to go undetected, making sure to quickly dart across any gaps between the trailers where anybody from the driveway could see you as you make your way towards the back of the trailer complex to the end of the driveway where you know Eliza's to be. The smell of smoke is getting thicker and thicker and thicker, and you even smell what is likely burning gas as you get closer and closer to the edge of the driveway. Aspen, you have clambered over the back fence, going undetected, crossing another storm drain that leads to a small, loose woodland on the other side. You still see the flashing of the blue and red lights coming from the driveway. There must be several cruisers as the lights seem to emanate from in between the trailers, lining the entire way down. And again, that smell of thick, heavy smoke emanates. What would you like to do?
Just looking for the best way to get to Eliza's and hopefully find these guys along the way. Since I couldn't go through, I'm gonna go the same direction as them, just a little bit slower.
Okay, so as you are kind of cresting the woods, getting to the edge of the trailers, looking to the right and left, roll me a wits and awareness.
Three.
Okay, so with 3 successes, trying to use your night vision as possible, trying to block out all this extra sensory flashing, you are able to detect Lucas a little further down to your left. And actually, Jester and Aiden have most likely just passed where you were a minute or so ago, as you can spy them crossing between trailers to your right.
Okay, so Jester and Aiden are together.
Jester and Aiden, yes.
Okay, then I'm gonna stick with Lucas.
Okay. Lucas, you do hear the not so subtle footfalls of a larger and thicker Aspen as she approaches from your right, as you try to stay as tuned into the conversation as possible. The radio it's been sort of radio silent, just occasional check-ins saying that, another trailer has been evacuated, or talking about the disturbance that certain residents are giving, that they're asking a lot of questions, but they're being told to move and that they can't divulge any information at this time.
Maintaining my eye contact with the walkie-talkie, I will shift up to Hamid, still staying in a crouched position, and whisper over my shoulder, I'm listening to the radios.
She'll nod. Any information?
Not on Eliza, just standard cop stuff. I'm gonna
Cool.
keep listening. Maybe they'll say something.
Okay.
So as you wait, Lucas tuned into the radio. Aiden and Jester, you crest the edge up to the corner of the final trailer. Now, Eliza doesn't really have trailers that are positioned right next to hers. She's taken the most kind of set back trailer away from the path. So it will be an open gap between you and where her trailer would lie. She took the very dead end of this particular park, and based off of her prior countenance, didn't seem like anybody was too eager to be her neighbor in her previous days. But as you peek around the edge, what you see is absolute utter ruin. Where a trailer once stood, walls, ceiling, porch, a garden out back, most of the walls have completely just fallen. Fire still licks at the edge of the surrounds and the base of the trailer itself. Roll me a wits and awareness, both of you. Okay, 4 successes and 3 successes. You don't spy any sign of Eliza. It's too hard to tell through the smoke, through the flames, through the rubble of the trailer itself, where she would be, what condition she would be in. But what you do see, set back probably 20 feet or so from the roaring flames, is a stout, thick woman with curly brown hair and a leather jacket, jeans, boots, standing there observing the flames. She's flanked on either side by what appear to be 2 individuals dressed head to toe in police riot gear, with rifles at the ready, kind of standing observing off to her sides. The woman, which we know to be Bloody Mary, stares at the flames, a slight curve in her mouth. The rest of it set hard as if in stone, but there's a slight curl at the corner, a sign of pride at a job well done.
We're well hidden by the flames and the smoke and everything currently. Going to go into Hamid, roughly probably be about 5 minutes at this point. Shoot Aspen a text, letting her know where we're at, what we're seeing, and asking what she wants to do.
Before you can do all that, I'd like both Jester and Aiden to roll me composure and resolve checks. You've spent enough time at this trailer with Eliza and not knowing her fate and seeing your quarry the one you know to be the most dangerous individual in all of Tampa, theoretically, right in front of you, is a lot to try and hold back.
3.
Okay. Jester, you feel yourself moving, even though everything in you wants to keep you back, wants to hold you back. But you feel your rage continuing to rise as you hit 4 rage at this point. And Aiden, you quickly detect that Jester is going to move forward, as you can see her heavy wolf footfalls marking her way, trying to emerge from the side of the trailer.
I am growling under my breath.
Still going to transition and then try and whisper to Jester, like, wait, 2 seconds. 2 seconds, all I need.
Give me a charisma and persuasion check. If you want to be a little more forceful with it, I'd allow you manipulation and intimidation instead.
It's the same dice pool. 1.
She's not stopping.
Yeah, that
It's
makes
like
sense.
she can't even hear you, like she's in a fugue state as she continues to move forward, the growl emanating from her throat.
Okay, not going to be as direct in the text that he wants to do. He's just going to put Mary trailer now, and then SOS, and then he's going to follow her.
Okay. Aspen, Lucas, you feel the vibration of your phone that is in your pocket go off.
I would have had my phone because I was going to send a text to the others
Okay.
to let them know, Charles and Artie, what was happening. But so it would have came through as I had it in my hand.
Okay.
And I'll turn to Lucas. We've got to go now, Mary.
Where?
She's behind the trailer, right?
She's at the end of the driveway, basically, standing about 20 feet back from the trailer.
End of the driveway. Let's go.
Cleat out, he follows.
Okay. Are you going with expediency? How would you say you're headed that direction? Because that'll determine how far Jester gets.
I think at this point, it's not like we'll try our best to stay hidden, but Aspen specifically is going to be beelining it as quickly as she can.
Okay. I need both of you to make stamina and athletics rolls. Depending on your successes, you may be able to stop Jester and Aiden from doing something very foolish.
Be fine.
2 successes.
Okay.
Also 2 successes.
All right. So as you are going as quickly as possible, running along the back of these trailers, not being cautious about minding the gaps between the trailers, you rush to the end, but as you're getting near the corner, you can see that Aiden and Jester have already moved around the corner. Aiden, Jester, you are approaching Bloody Mary. She doesn't seem to have detected you as of yet, neither have either of her guards. Aiden, go ahead and roll me a wits and awareness, as Jester is in no condition to be cautious at this particular moment.
4.
As you're nearing the front of that trailer that you're moving along the side of, you see the flashes of red and blue beyond, and even as you get first glimpse around the corner, you can see that there are several police cruisers parked up and down the edge of this long driveway, and that there are several police milling about. There are a lot of onlookers here, and potentially a lot of obstacles here. This is your last chance to do something before Jester will be revealed.
Yep. Can't talk to her out of things. He's going to try and physically restrain her.
Give me a strength and brawl. Actually, I'll have opposing strength and brawls from both of you.
Because of trying to restrain, can I add my grappling specialty?
You sure can.
Sweet. Eight.
8 successes. Now, Jester, I will give you a choice here. You can proceed with the roll, or you can spend a willpower to regain your senses momentarily enough to be dragged back.
I'll spend the willpower.
Okay. So even though your vision has flooded with red, hot anger, something about Aiden grabbing you snaps you back to awareness, gives you some clarity about the situation surrounding yourself. This isn't the place for that fight. This isn't the time for that fight. In fact, proceeding now could potentially undo all of the good you've done up until this point. So even as the light of the flashing sirens atop the police cruisers, even the few still remaining street lamps start to illuminate your face, you allow yourself to stop, get pulled back by Aiden into the safety of the shadows of the trailer nearby, just in time for Aspen and Lucas to reach the back of the trailer. The four of you are reunited and the scene is yours for the moment.
Okay. As Aiden does like grab me, I will stiffen and then kind of relax and go limp and let him pull me back.
There's way too
And
many
just be
cops.
and just be laying there panting with little growls.
He'll like point to like the surrounding lights. Like, this isn't a fight we're going to win easily.
I'll hide my like face or in the paw like sorry.
At that point, he'll let her go, but like stay close just in case she darts.
She seems to be in her senses at the moment, enough to follow you back towards the back of the trailer where Aspen and Lucas are waiting.
Any sign of Eliza?
No, the smoke's way too thick. I can't see anything.
The cops didn't call for EMS and they didn't report any bodies, but they can't get inside there yet, so we have no way of knowing.
Well, and Aiden will point to where Mary is at and the two cops next. I think that might have to do something with no one being reported yet.
We can't touch that yet. We've got to find Eliza. Any ideas? Any ideas of what we can do?
I'm going to shift into Hamid. Pull out the glasses. We could look other ways.
Yeah, do that.
Put the glasses on.
Positioning the aura shades over your eyes, it's a little bit disorienting at first as you look beyond the veil, as this is a purposeful action to be sure, but not executed through a rite or a gift. It is just simply seeing beyond almost instantaneously. And as you look beyond, the wreckage you saw here barely touches the wreckage beyond. Smoke fills your view. You can see several pattern spiders surrounding the ruins of the trailer, but not advancing forward. And you can see other spirits, spirits of fire, spirits of destruction, spirits of the worm and of decay, just eating away at what little of the Weaver's creation still remains, peeling it back. You haven't had a lot of opportunity to see the Umbra as it was in its prime days here around Eliza's trailer, but you can tell that something has been ruined here. Something has been destroyed here. This place that once probably was a place of peace, a place of gathering, a place that called spirits forward, drew them in, gave them a place to feel welcome, a place to commune, is anything but at this point. You could see large maggots and cockroaches in the form of spirits just eating away at the foundation, scrambling over, and you can see what appear to be the bodies or remnants, remains, essences of several slain spirits. Ones that were likely taking refuge here, ones that made up this place, ones that called this place home. But you do not see anything else.
This is a mess. There's so many. I don't see her. There's a lot of Banes here, though.
Are there any other spirits around?
Just pattern spiders. But it looks like they've killed a lot of the other spirits that were here. The Banes have.
Storyteller. Through my spirit summoning, would there be a way to speak to one of the pattern spiders if I were to attempt it?
If you were to take the aura shades and be able to get a visual sight of them, potentially, but because you don't know their designations, their names, you don't really know how to address them and aren't familiar with them, at least not these ones particularly, without being able to see them, no. It'd be a futile effort.
I can try and get closer if need be.
It's not a good idea. She gets hands on you. That's it.
That's what you guys are for.
But there's two outcomes here. Either she's in there right now, or she got away. If she's in there right now, we can't get to her. So there's not much we can do here. If she got away, where do you think she's going to go?
Either be the Cairn or Lettuce Lake.
Exactly.
Do I see any tracks, trails, anything, footprints leading away from the
Roll me
tree
a
line?
wits and survival.
Actually, since I still have the shades on, do I see any tracks or trails? On this side?
Nothing
Okay.
apparent in the Umbra, no. I mean, you
Okay.
see the tracks and trails of everything moving towards the trailer,
Right.
but nothing departing.
That's a 5 with a crit.
5 at the crit. It takes a lot of focus, a lot of intent focus, which is very easily distracted by the smells of the smoke, the flames, the brightness of the shining lights from the police vehicles. But some of the grass near the back of the trailer and in a small, almost rapid trail heading away does seem to go out into the pasture beyond and away from the trailer.
Gonna follow that.
Roll me a dexterity
Yes.
and stealth, because you are going to be exposed.
Yep. 3.
3 successes. Moving your way, trying to stay as low to the ground as possible. There's not a lot to obstruct any view of you at the moment. But you do appear to go hidden as you make your way around the back, trying to pick up on any scents or smells, using your same wits and survival, getting to the base of that trail, or at least further down that trail. You try to pick up a scent, and eventually you do. It smells like maybe mild, very, very mild odor of perfume, as well as a sweaty scent. And while it doesn't smell like Eliza, it does smell familiar, as you have interacted with Chloe in the past. The scent is very faint. This is likely the trail she escaped from.
Okay. Going to, while they're still there, plot. How far how far did I roughly get? Am I still like within eye shot or?
Oh, you're definitely within eye shot. In fact, Aspen, Lucas, and Jester, I'd like you to make wits and awareness rolls for me. Actually, Jester, not you, because you're still kind of got the aura shades on and are distracted by the Umbra, but Lucas and Aspen.
Five successes.
Lucas, you see as one of the riot gear armed sentries that stand beside Bloody Mary look off curiously in the direction that Aiden seems to have headed in. You can see him lean over to Mary and mutter something, and she kind of ticks her head. And the guy in the riot gear starts slowly, with his rifle aimed, heading off in that direction, trying to get a better vantage point.
I'm gonna nudge Aspen and Jester back around a corner so that we are no longer in line of sight, and point to the one that's breaking off.
Give me a dexterity and stealth, the three of you.
Three.
3
I'm
for
gonna
Aspen,
spend-
3 for Jester.
I'm gonna spend a willpower. 4 with a crit.
4 with a crit. Okay, so you are able to gesture them back around the corner quick enough and stealthily enough not to be picked up by the sentry. The sentry doesn't move too far out, too far away. He's probably within 30 or 40 feet of Mary still, as he rounds, kind of giving the flaming trailer a wide berth, but still staying within view of the others as he tries to look into the dark, raising a hand to shield his eyes as best as possible, keeping his rifle kind of aimed in the general direction of Aiden.
After he nudged me, I'm gonna take the glasses off for now.
Gonna reach down and try to find a brick, a rock, something.
Sure.
Something decently sized that I could throw. And I'm gonna throw it within the line of sight of the guard, but in the different direction that Aiden went.
Give me a wits and subterfuge. Or a dexterity and subterfuge. I'll let you choose.
Three successes.
3 successes. Finding a bit of refuse out back of one of the trailers, possibly something that was being done for a home improvement project or something of the like, you're able to grab a small broken concrete brick and chuck it. And as it clatters off on the opposite direction from Aiden, you see the sentries kind of gaze, look over in that direction, take a minute to acclimate to the change from light to dark, peek a little bit more, and start backing up 1 foot after another away, getting closer to Mary again.
It's time to go. You need to text Aiden.
I will
How
pull out my
close-
phone and text Aiden. Just people getting close. Need to go.
How close are we to the burning building? Like, I know you said, like, it's
You're probably a good 50 feet or so away.
too far. Okay.
Aiden, roll me a wits and awareness, please, as you get the text message.
Tree.
You can see where your companions are. You can see the sentry that was starting to come in your direction, backing up to Mary. And as he reaches her side, he kind of leans over and mutters something to her. And she just gives a nod of her head, then turns, and she and the two sentries start making their way back down the driveway. What you're able to observe, however, is that she pulls a hand out of one of her leather jacket pockets, and you see a slight glimmer coming from her knuckles, as if something is wrapped around her knuckles that is shimmering ever so slightly.
After getting the text and seeing that, he's going to drop back down into Lupus and make his way out of there.
Okay, roll me another dexterity and stealth, please.
I'm going to burn a willpower.
Okay.
Two
successes. Maybe it's because they're not paying attention that they seem to be heading back towards the crowd. Maybe it's the smoke that gives you cover, but it doesn't seem like they shift or move in your direction as you rejoin with the rest of your pack. After a couple of minutes, as you make your way slowly, carefully, staying as low to the ground, trying not to cause any disturbance, new lights start to move down the driveway. Bright, flashing red lights as a fire engine is slowly making its way down the driveway, trying to avoid the various cruisers that are parked along the sides, pulling up in front of Eliza's trailer. Eventually, the engine comes to a stop, and men start piling out of the truck, unwinding hoses, finding the nearest fire hydrant, preparing to put out and douse the flames. You are all together once again, and the scene is yours. You have a couple of choices here. You could retreat, you could hunker down, or something else of your choosing.
I'm focused on them putting the fire out at the moment because that might give us a clue if Eliza was in there.
There's a lot of us here. I can stay hidden, almost invisible. If you guys want to fall back, I can keep eyes on this. I can listen to the radios. I can stay low and quiet and unseen. I'll text you if I see anything.
I think it's better if we stick together, especially with Mary looking about. Who knows if she comes back and we can't have one of us alone. I say we just hunker down, we wait until they're done doing what they need to do and we can have a better look. You can continue to do what you would need to do, but to have you alone would be foolish.
Yeah, but I can't really do that good at what I do with you guys around. I'm not trying to be rude about that. It's just the truth. You guys are going to draw attention. Aspen, I know where you're coming from. I get it. I know the rules. I know what you said, but this is what I do.
I'll look over to Jester real quick.
Still concentrating on the actual building.
Back in the along the tree line, picked up a scent. I think it was Chloe. I think that's the way she went. I got nothing on Eliza. And as far as Lucas needing us not here, how can we sit in the tree line? Can you sit here and do your thing as long as we can see roughly where you're at? But that way, if something goes down, we're only a few feet away.
Lucas will walk quietly move about 10 feet right on the edge of the tree line, and he'll crouch down and put his hand on the tree, and he'll activate Blissful Ignorance.
Okay. Go ahead and describe what that does.
By standing completely still, the Garou can render himself invisible to all observers, including monitoring devices and most spirits. It's taught by a chameleon spirit. So it's a minor action, 1 willpower, no roll.
Okay. So Lucas backs away from the back of the trailer to the edge of the tree line. And as he approaches the edge of the tree line, he disappears, not answering your question with his words, but rather with his deeds.
Does that work? We can stay here and he can still do his thing?
That's fine. I just think we should all be in close proximity if anything were to happen.
I agree.
About 30 minutes go by as you all stay hungered, using what cover you can. The firefighters pulling out hoses, dousing the fire. It takes a little bit longer, as you can tell, where maybe a septic tank or a gas reservoir had been. It takes a little longer to take that off, to the point that they have to get it shut off. But eventually the flames die down, leaving just smoldering plumes of smoke coming off from the trailer itself. After the fire has died down, despite the smoke, a few moments after that, Mary returns again, flanked by her 2 sentries. She steps into the ruins of the trailer, kicking aside detritus, debris, burned wreckage. She investigates, clearly from her intentions, the trailer itself, a little bit at a time, pushing aside some of the rubble. And after about another 15 or so minutes, she pulls up her wrist, looks at a watch, looks to the sky, and starts making her way out of the rubble. She stops by one of the firefighters, muttering some really gravelly, grunting words to them, and they give a nod of understanding before her and her sentries start making their way out. They eventually climb into a car, an unmarked vehicle, still with the flashing red and blue lights coming from the dashboard panel, likely the kind of vehicle a detective would drive. And the car starts to pull away. At this point, following the gaze, you can see the very, very, very early signs that the sun is coming, that dawn is coming. Perhaps it's a relief. Perhaps it's going to add a new complication. But based off of Mary's departure, she can't stay around here much longer, not without potentially doing more harm than good. Her investigation would have to wait. With the fire sufficiently put out, the firefighters along with the police officers start to cordon off the area, making it an active crime scene. As you wait, over the course of about another hour or so, as the sun really does start to glow on the horizon, you can see that they have started locking down the scene, and several of the police cruisers have started to depart. One police cruiser remains behind, a couple of officers sitting in the car itself at the end of the long driveway, in view of the trailer, but mostly as a deterrent to anybody who might come looking, trying to mess with this active scene. You've had a long night, to say the very least. Robbing a plasma plant isn't easy work, even if you did walk out of it unscathed. So you can feel a little bit of exhaustion starting to creep in, but because of the circumstances, because of what's at stake, and because of the lack of information you currently have, you all muster the strength inside you to stay focused, stay aware. And as dawn breaks, the scene is yours. Most of the police have departed except for the one cruiser. What do you wish to do?
Aiden.
Yeah.
Do you feel confident in looking, seeing what you can find?
Yeah, I can take a quick look.
I can go with him.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to put on the thing.
Yeah. I'll put the glasses back on.
Okay. So the two of you are hoping to approach the wreckage, no longer on fire, thankfully, to investigate. So I need both of you to make dexterity and stealth checks. Lucas, what are you doing?
He'll take his hand off the tree and drop his invisibility, and he'll kind of half stand and go over and kind of crouch next to Aspen, taking his clave and putting it back in the sheath. No coroner. No arson investigators. No detectives. You can't have a fire this big. I don't think she's even good enough to cover that up.
We don't know what she's capable of. And if she's got that many strings she can pull, I wouldn't be surprised if she can.
She's not going to leave a body here.
I don't think so either, but it's good to know what we're looking at. Any evidence we can find, any trail we can track is something. But I don't think she's here either. Even if she was here and she is gone, they would have taken care of it.
Agreed.
Aiden, Jester, as you're approaching the trailer, are you doing so in Hamid? What form are you taking?
Taking Hamid at this time.
I'm taking Hamid.
So giving a wide berth to the police cruiser that's parked out front of the trailer, going around the back where you know the garden should be. Jester, you see the field where you played ball with Lucas just a few weeks ago. You see the garden bed that Eliza was working diligently on, and through the eyes of the aura shades, you can see that the garden was growing. I use the term was, because everything within that garden is eaten away, is dying, suffocated by the smoke within the umbra, burned by the heat radiating off of the fires. The plants are wilting and dying quickly. As you approach the rubble itself, there's still some of the structure that provides a little bit of a break in your eye line, in the eye line of the cruiser, so that you are able to enter into the wreckage itself without being noticed. What would you like to do?
Do you see anything? Any sign before I just go and climb up into a place that was recently on fire?
Yeah, I'm searching on the side for any sign of.
Roll me a wits and awareness.
Okay.
Actually, let's make it wits and occult, unfortunately, as this is not something that's natural to the eyes. It'd be hard to pick up certain details.
Okay. Two successes.
Two successes. A majority of the trailer from the umbral side of things is just broken remnants of weaver's webs. You could see burned away vines of the wild that seem to have peeled and curled back off the base of the structure. But something that is surprising is that in the middle of the trailer itself, from your approximations under where Eliza's recliner would stand, is a solid foundation of weaver's webs. It seems to stretch out further beyond that central point, but it gets less and less stable, forming the foundations of what any structure would be. Patterned, organized, orderly webs. But they are especially thick under where the remnants and ruins of a burned recliner sit. And based off of the positioning, hard to tell if it's because of a fight, hard to tell if it's because of the explosion that likely happened here. The recliner is not in the position it normally would be.
don't know what it means, but there's extra thick weaver webs around where Eliza's recliner should be.
The one that smelled like smoke?
Yeah. The one she sat in.
Okay. That's something, I guess. Going to attempt to climb into the ruined trailer and make his way over to the area where Eliza's recliner was.
Give me a wits and investigation, but based off of your previous being here, based off of Jester's description, I'll give you a bonus dice to the roll.
Or with a crit.
Moving across the burned rubble isn't easy. But as you draw closer to the location, it feels less like wooden slats and ash. It gets harder under your feet. You feel even a slight thumping sensation, like the ground is still stable, even though on the approach, most of it was broken down and falling underneath your feet. As you slowly and carefully shove aside the recliner, you reach to run your hand across the ground and you feel brittle ash pulling back with your hand as you kind of swipe across. But as the floor paneling that was covering this particular area easily crumbles in your fingers, you feel metal beneath. And as you swipe it further and further away, you feel a groove along the metal. The metal is still quite hot to the touch, but the firefighters managed to cool it enough that maybe you recoil a little, but you're not going to be burned. It's still very warm. Eventually you find yourself reaching for a latch, like a little pop-up latch that would go to a hatch. And as you draw it back, the top of it slides off in a rickety kind of grinding fashion, getting caught on some of the ash and rubble beneath. But as you pull back the top of the hatch, the smoke that filled your senses before is replaced with a metallic, coppery, bloody scent. A lot of it. And pulling back the top of the hatch, you see a wolf prone on its side, completely like crunched into this little box. And at the moment, it's really hard to tell if it's breathing or not, but it is in very, very bad shape. A lot of the fur burned and some of the limbs broken.
Regardless, breathing or not, going to, if there's room to get down into the hatch.
Yeah, you can actually just reach down in. It's not very deep. It's probably only about 2.5, 3 feet deep. Definitely sized for a wolf.
With that, he's going to try to avoid the broken bones as much as he can, but at this point, he's just trying to get the wolf out. So he's going to reach down and pull her out.
It's not a very difficult effort, reaching in, scooping your arms under the frame. It is a frail thing. The shocks of silver amidst gray fur that still is in patches along the form definitely designate this as Eliza. And as you do lift her up, you hear almost an impulsive whine emanate, like a wince of pain, as you scoop out the fallen form, but it lays limp in your arms, completely almost devoid of life. And if it weren't for the noise that it made, you'd assume that this was a corpse.
Well, I got you, ma'am. Yep, ma'am. You can't do anything about it. And then scurry off while holding her.
Jester, you see Aiden emerge from the ruins of the trailer, a wolf that is not too significant in size, looking very frail, very thin, almost like it's wasted away, still fresh burn scars puckered at the skin as he pulls her from the ruins of the trailer.
She's not doing great.
Here, I'll hold out my arms. Hand her over so you can climb out.
toss her, or not toss, move her over.
I'll take
Passing.
her.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll take her and kind of cradle her gently.
You hear that very, very faint whine of pain, especially in the transition, but it's almost instinctual. It's not aware, it's not conscious, it's just the body reacting to the trauma of the burns, of the breaks, of the damage that's been done. If you want, you can try and make an intelligence and medicine check.
I'm just going to bring her to Aspen.
Okay. The police still thoroughly distracted, not really paying any attention. You are able to carry Eliza and make your way back around the edge of the trailer towards the tree line, where you are rejoined together again as a group.
Can you help her?
Yeah, I can do my best. And just lay her down. Somebody get Regina, put her in a good enough spot so we can kind of just bring her and take her to Lettuce Lake.
I'll go.
Lucas sets off into the woods, following the trail that he took to get here, remembering the path to return to Regina, and finding the Jeep positioned along the side of the road. It's not very difficult. As you climb in, the engine starts to life without you even having to maneuver to any keys to do anything, as if it had been waiting for somebody to climb in, anybody to climb in.
I don't know you, but let's go. Yes.
And the engine kicks on and the car starts moving, driving. Probably the barricade is still on the street. There are still cruisers parked there, at least one cruiser, not the two that were there before. But you were able to turn down that same side street with all the houses positioned along it that you had originally made your attempt to get closer. Aiden, Jester, and Aspen. Eliza is in very, very bad shape. If you want to try and assess, you can make an intelligence and medicine.
I am going to immediately do Mother's Touch. So I'm going to burn a willpower and do Mother's Touch. That's 3.
Okay. So as you press your hands, calling upon the spirits, attempting to soothe the wounds that cover Eliza's body, the answer is very delayed, very slow. And the effects of your healing touch, ones that had helped significantly with Charles, are stilted, to say the very least. Her body has taken such trauma that the kind of damage that this touch would be most useful on, or would help with, has very little effect at this time. But you do see that some of the open sores and blisters have stopped have stopped weeping. Some of the blood has stopped gushing.
Okay, I would at that point like to assess, seeing as how Mother's Touch isn't working the way it has worked in the past, just to see what's really going on with her wounds.
Okay, so roll me a either intelligence and occult or intelligence and medicine.
Okay, either way, it is 2.
Okay, so she has taken a substantial amount of aggravated damage to the point that there isn't really any superficial to be healed. And therefore the aggravated is slowly healing, but also, from what you could tell based off of the aura shades and Jester's report, the kind of spirits that assist with a gift such as this aren't close by, aren't present, and aren't really able to offer much aid.
Okay, then at that point, I'll turn to Aiden and Jester. We just need to get her in the car. We need to get her back to Lettuce Lake. We gotta check on Chloe. We gotta tell the others.
Okay,
Jester, do you want to carry her or do you want me to?
I'll carry her.
Retreating from the scene, knowing that something that was a bastion of hope, a safe haven, an escape, has been exposed, has been exploited, and has been destroyed. One less asset, one less place of refuge, one less advantage for the Garou of Tampa. Mary has indeed struck back. But knowing her, knowing what she's capable of, and unsure of what they know, how much they know, this is likely only the beginning. At this point, we're going to take a break for about 5 or so minutes, and when we come back in Act 2, days will have passed, time will have passed, and we will catch the group up to the present as they recover from this devastating wound issued by the forces of the worm. We'll be back in 5 minutes. See you shortly, everyone. in the first half, we saw the pack rush with a hurry to Eliza's trailer after receiving a call from Chloe saying that Bloody Mary had indeed attacked and Chloe had barely escaped. Eliza and her fate was unknown until they arrived at the trailer, only to see Bloody Mary marveling at the wreckage. They had to wait several hours for the emergency services to lock down the scene to put out the fire of the trailer. And then Jester and Aiden proceeded forward to recover Eliza, who had managed somehow, before going unconscious, to sneak into a little escape hatch that apparently had existed within the trailer, a place to hold up and hide out, a place that probably would have been discovered if left alone for too long as they cleaned up the wreckage of the trailer. But having recovered Eliza, the pack returned, leaving and going back to Lettuce Lake Park to give Eliza some time to recover, a place that is hidden and safe, at least to the pack's knowledge, and to meet up with Chloe and reconvene. A few days pass, Chloe remaining at the trailer, staying rather silent, especially after seeing the state that Eliza was brought in and the fact that she's barely recovered in the days since. Our scene resumes one morning a few days later. Jester, you awaken within the RV to find Chloe nervously sitting at the breakfast table, wringing her hands, her eyes looking off to a closed off area that is a bedroom where she knows Eliza is currently laid out, still unconscious, still not recovered, and still in lupus form. You rub the sleep from your eyes as you sit up and see her there.
No breakfast?
Chloe in a daze. A attractive young woman who looked like she was in her late teens, early 20s, except for the fact that she's clearly had quite an ordeal, many sleepless nights, staying in the same clothes that she's worn since the night of the incident. The dark bags and shadows beneath her eyes, her hair mussed. She snaps, almost as if out of a daze, and says, yeah, I'll make you something.
No, that was a joke. I'll get up, sit down beside her. You haven't slept.
I haven't felt this way since the prison. How bad does this get, Jess?
I don't know, honestly.
You see a haunted quality take over her eyes as if she's reliving the moment as she has for the past several days, barely speaking, barely eating, barely sleeping.
Take her hands. Look. This is really bad. And it's going to continue to be bad until we can get rid of Mary. But you can leave.
How? How can I leave? When this all started, the only thing she cared about, the only thing she thought about was keeping me safe. If I leave, if I walk away, it's a betrayal to her. And the sacrifice she's making to keep me safe. Where would I go?
I have friends in Colorado. You could go back to Colorado. But this isn't your fault. This is Mary struck because of what we did. Faster than I assumed it would happen, but
What did you do?
Not exactly sure, but we kind of, I think, took away their food source.
People.
Yeah. But more like blood banks. They were using some of the blood in the blood banks as a food source.
Eliza taught me a lot about what I am, what I guess my people or what we're supposed to do, what we're supposed to be. That we're not special like you, but we still help. We are special in our own right. We're the ones who make sure that you can keep fighting. Make sure that you can stay grounded. That we're supposed to give you some sort of sense of normalcy in an unfamiliar situation. And I can't know or even begin to know what it's like to be you, no matter how much she's tried to explain it to me. At this point, her eyes look over towards the sheeted off area. But she didn't treat me less. She didn't treat me like I was unimportant, like a servant. If anything, she treated me like I was more important. Like I was a reason to fight. That people like me were why this was so important. She made me feel important. She made me feel like what I did, what I do matters. As terrifying as that night was, and as scared as I was, as much as I didn't want to leave her behind, as much as I wish I hadn't left her behind. I can't go anywhere. Not after this, not after the prison, not after everything everyone else has sacrificed. If I did that, I'd just be running away. And I've never run away. I'll never run away. I wish there was more I could do.
Kind of breaks my heart to hear you say that, because I don't care about special. You mean everything to me, and I don't want to see you in danger.
Ditto. The thought of leaving you here against things like whatever she was, against all of it, against things I can't even comprehend, spirits, primordial forces.
It's a lot.
Eliza told me that you would probably die fighting this fight, and that I had to be okay with that and understand it's what you're meant to do, but I refuse to accept that. I refuse to believe that this isn't a fight you can win. You are one of the most stubborn, reckless, but well-meaning people I know. And if anybody's going to survive this, if anybody's going to win, it's you, because you'll accept nothing less. That's why I can't leave. Because I want to see you win. I want to help you win in whatever small, silly way that I can. And I want to celebrate with you when you do win. And I won't let any harm come to me if you do the same.
Deal. I'll try my damnedest to stay alive.
She gives a weak but warm smile, possibly out of exhaustion, maybe a little bit out of hope, maybe some of it out of doubt.
You need some breakfast. I will make you breakfast, and then you need to go lay down and get some sleep. She's still alive. She can heal. We have a knack for that. It just might take a while.
She's old.
She is.
She told me the old ones, while they're gifted and strong, they're slower. And they're not long for this fight anymore.
Well, I intend to keep her around as long as possible.
Yeah. She was so proud of that place.
Yeah.
Guess we just have to build her a new one.
We do.
Well, I've been keeping an eye on the books at the memorial park, and we've got some money. Maybe we can do something for her. It's the least we can do. It's the least I can do.
Yeah. Let's talk to Aspen after you get some food and some rest.
She rubs at an arm, and as she pushes up the sleeve, you can see that there's a little bit of kind of almost like a really intense sunburn, as well as some scrapes and scratches. But she quickly pulls the sleeve back over it.
We need to look at that.
It was just on the way out. It's nothing too bad. I've been
Yeah, but
putting Neosporin and aloe on it. It'll be okay.
Okay. Mentally, I'm already making a note to ask Aspen to look at Chloe when she gets a chance.
I love you, Jess, and I'm with you in this till the end. Because the world without you, it's not a world I want to fight for.
Same, sister. Same.
She smiles and nods a few more times, strengthening her resolve. And as you cook some dinner, or some breakfast, maybe some breakfast burritos, something simple, something easy, she finally does eat. At least a little bit. She eats it first with a ravenous hunger as someone who's been starving themselves, but quickly becomes nauseous, eating too much too fast. But after a meal, as you're taking the dishes away, when you turn back, she's asleep in the chair, her head down on the table.
I'll take a blanket. We've probably got plenty, and like put it around her shoulders.
The ones we love are the reason we fight. But they're also one of our biggest vulnerabilities. Eliza has been in this fight for a very long time. She knew the stakes. She knew what was required. So much so as to make precautions in case things didn't go her way. But the others, Chloe, are touchstones. They're the ones that can hurt us the most. They are our biggest vulnerabilities because they are all that tethers us from complete rage, from losing ourselves. And while this is another physical wound, the mental wounds are adding up. The scars are building. Is she strong enough for this fight? Only time will tell. We transition now to a few days later. Aiden and Aspen, you were given instructions by Spud to meet at a particular location to regroup and to assess how the operation went and to possibly gather some more intelligence regarding the situation of the vampires. So as you follow the directions given by Spud, following the GPS that was given, you find yourself heading west towards the coast, towards the Gulf, driving a pretty significant distance out of Tampa. Eventually, you find yourself at a roadside motel off of US 19. Parking Regina, Aiden behind the wheel as he's been practicing driving with Artie for the past week or so, doing a very rough job. The Jeep hits a curb in the parking lot of the roadside motel. There is a grunt from the engine. Regina very displeased. But the engine eventually dies down as the two of you find yourself outside of a motel room with the marking number 13 on the door, knowing that Spud is within and that you are arriving close to dusk, which was his preferred meeting time. For the moment, the scene is yours until you head inside.
Sorry about. Yeah.
It's okay. It comes with practice. Well,
Why did they make the curb so big?
for, reasons of not running it over and staying on the road. You'll get more lessons. I have all the trust in Artie. I'm not going to teach you because that sounds terrifying. You're lucky you drove me all the way here. But good job.
Thanks. Passing grade?
Nobody died. So
Yeah.
that's always what we're looking for. So all things considered, I think we're okay. I'm glad you're learning in Regina because it could have been worse.
Yeah, she grumbles at me every now and then now. That scuff towards the back left side, that was a pole. It came out of nowhere. It wasn't there in that mirror. I promise it wasn't there. Someone
Well,
moved it.
you make sure you buff that out for her helping you.
Yeah, okay. All right, that's fair. This place is creepy, right? Weird.
It's creepy. It's not anything that I don't expect from the weird one.
Yeah, but isn't this like the place in like the movies where people go like to die, the dumb people in like the beginning of movies, they show up to a creepy person to do a weird thing, and then that person ends up killing them. It's like these places, right?
It is like these places, but fortunately for us, we are not normal people, so it's okay.
so I can go all if I need to.
Let's take that as the last possible option. Let's keep that in our back pocket, and if we need it, we'll pull it out later.
I swear, if someone shows up with spikes all over their head and all over their face, I'm doing it.
It's a fair enough assumption. I don't blame you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But you ready to talk to him? Get some information?
Yep. Let's get this over with.
Climbing
Knock
out of
on
the
the door.
vehicle, getting out of the Jeep, approaching the door, your senses are assaulted with a variety of odors. Human refuse, waste, and a very tangy chemical odor mixed with that same coppery smell of blood that you're so familiar with. Some of the scents of the plasma plant or the laboratory can still be detected. And as you get closer and closer to the door, the stench gets worse and worse. You can see, based off of your surroundings of this particular motel, this isn't the kind of place that authorities are too concerned with. This is the kind of place where people really down on their luck or people looking to go unnoticed would take up a long-term residence. You see in one of the parking spots, several spaces down from you, the busted up old moped that you have seen Spud driving in the past in one of the parking spots. And as dark sets in, the parking lot lamps flicker on. And I do mean flicker, as some of them just continue to flicker up above as if they are in desperate need of maintenance, but probably will never see any. Walking up to the door, you see a little ruffle against the curtains that are drawn over the window, tight and shut. And there seems to be almost like a smoke stain odor that fogs up some of the glass. But looking to the source of the ruffle, as you knock on the door, a raccoon's head pops up in the window frame, peering over and sniffing before dropping down out of sight. A moment later, you hear the lock click, then another lock, then chain, and then maybe like a sliding motion, as if like a big, heavy piece of wood is being lifted off of brackets and thudding to the floor. And after a moment, the door opens, and the smell gets so much worse, as it seems like a cloud of vapors and smoke comes out of the doorway, dissipating into the sky. Spud stands in the doorway wearing a tank top and board shorts, flip-flops on his bare feet, sunglasses, his wizard hat. Hey, come on in. And he steps back, holding the door open for both of you.
Thank you. And she walks in, trying to ignore the smell to not be impolite.
This place stinks as he walks in.
Oh, yeah, it reeks something awful, Spud retorts as he closes the door behind you, and you can see the efforts of many manually installed locks on the doorway, as well as two brackets that seem like they've been haphazardly attached to either side of the wall by the door. A large 2x4 leaned up against the wall next to it. It is a typical motel room with two beds, except that they have been pushed off to the side, making a lot more floor space. From the open bathroom door that breaks off of the room, the scent seems to come thick from inside the bathroom, but you can see what looks like a haphazardly assembled chemistry set with little Bunsen burners, beakers, pipes. You can see some of those discarded plastic trays that the plasma and blood had come in off to one side. Some of the bags completely drained and flattened out on the table next to the chemistry set. From inside the bathroom, there is a very strong stench and odor. As you can see, the tub that is partially in view seems to be filled up with a viscous liquid. Spud walks over to one of the nightstands and picks up an old big gulp cup and starts slurping on it. You can see red fluid coming up the straw as he walks over to one of the beds and knocks some of the papers off of the bed, padding on it for both of you to sit. Sorry, I'd offer you guys something to eat, but I don't think you'd want what I have to offer.
I've suddenly lost my appetite anyway, so thank you.
There's
I'm
the
okay.
The raccoon?
No. She'd be pissed if you did that. As you're examining the room more, roll me a wits and awareness check.
Three.
There is a corner in the room where it seems like there's a pile of laundry that is bundled up. And in the pile of laundry, you can see the big kind of cloak that he wore in your previous encounter, as well as a variety of shorts and pants and long sleeve shirts. But what stands out is that neatly folded next to the pile is several denim shirts and jeans that look like they would be fit for a female and not a male, all folded up, a set of combat boots. There's definitely someone else's clothing, or he has been scrounging up other people's clothes, but by the way that they are arranged and aligned, they seem like they are much better cared for than his easily discarded attire off to the side.
Gonna nudge Aspen and kind of dart his eyes to like the obscured folded clothing.
She'll clock it, turn to Spud. Do you have company? Are we intruding on a, I don't know, tryst, maybe?
No, she's out hunting.
Oh,
Anyway,
good.
let's chat, shall we?
Absolutely.
I gotta say, you really delivered.
I
Part of
told
me
you
was
if I
surprised
could,
you did it.
if I could bring extra, I told you I would. So I'm glad
You-
we could deliver more than you bargained for.
You definitely brought extra, and that extra is going to very, very good use. I assure you of that. However, you definitely made some noise. I'll tell you that much.
What have you heard?
Well, it's not what I've heard, but what I've seen, really. Seen an uptick in business. Apparently, some of the other, what'd you call them, leeches, have needed to find a new source of food, and by some, I mean a lot of them. Now, of course, I can't tell them what I got and where I came by it. That would be foolish. But if you were hoping to starve them, mission accomplished. It's getting wild out there. Territories are starting to get disputed. They're getting a little sloppy, a little reckless, which isn't necessarily the best thing. Sloppy and reckless draws attention. But some of them are leaving. Actually, a good number of them are leaving. I've sent my fair share of to-go bags, which is good for me, how I got the new digs, but could be good for you too. Less of them around means less problems, means we get closer to what we're aiming for.
Well, that's wonderful to hear. What have you heard on the, guess, how did you explain it? Hierarchy.
Well, I don't get to hear much. They don't let me close. They don't really look very highly upon me. When they need something, like a little pep in their step or a little emergency ration, sure, I'm useful then, but when it comes to the politics, I don't really get in the know as much as I would like. But I can tell you this much. Morale is dropping. A lot of the younger ones, a lot of the ones that are a little more than me, but a little less than them, are getting disgruntled. I think that some of them are either thinking of leaving, if they haven't already, or some of them are maybe considering taking some action, thinking that the leadership isn't doing as good of a job as they should be. Now, that's a fruitless effort. I know the leadership around here, at least by reputation, and it'd be like squashing a spider. But one spider squashed is one less barrier in your way. And who cares? They're dead anyway, right? But I feel something changing. More so than just food supplies getting cut off. A lot more secret to-dos are happening. And not with the guy in charge. No, he's in a bad way. Maybe they are also thinking that he's not the best in charge anymore. Couldn't say for sure, but I know that there are those that are trying to keep him where he is. Something I'll tell you about the Fanger, the Lick politics is you don't want to be the one on the throne. You want to be the one behind it, whispering in the ear of the one on the throne. So those ones, they're going to want to keep the big man on top. Because if he's not, then one of them has to be, or someone they don't like will be. But I think loyalty is shifting. And you love to see it. But what do you want to know? I'm sure you've got questions. I said I'd supply you with information, and I know this isn't the best of information so far, so you'll have to be a little specific. I've been working a lot lately, and the brain's a little addled.
Information that you already gave us is wonderful. So, don't sell yourself short.
Good. Well, this was a great visit. Thank you so much.
No, we're not done.
Oh.
I was hoping you could give us more information on Bloody Mary as well as Bateman, like you promised.
Right. Bateman. Well, we'll start there. Might as well. The Primogen. That's what they call them. Primogen. It's kind of like the leaders of a mafia family. If you were to consider the whole city is a group of mafia families, these are all the Dons, the Primogen. You seen Godfather yet?
Is that the one up in New York?
I'm gonna make you an offer you can't refuse.
Yeah, the weird guy with the lisp. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that. The Primogen are like him, although better looking and not aging as terribly. Also, not alcoholics. Offset. But either way, imagine there's a group of them that answer to the prince. That's what we'll call them. They're advisors, they're subjects, they're generals, lieutenants, that kind of thing. Well, Bateman's one of them. And he has a whole family that he looks after. Bunch of stuck-up howdy-you-do's, but he's in charge of that one. He also happens to be part of the prince's family. They kind of have a descendancy in that way. If you consider that those who make those are like blood related, there's a connection, to say the least. He has been handling a lot of the day-to-day of the city lately. Any troubles you've had have likely come from him, not from the one on top. The one on top has been in a state that is, well, let's just say, he doesn't have his wits about him. He's losing control. This happens to the old ones sometimes. They get a little too bitey, stop thinking with their brains, start thinking with their fangs. He's losing it. But just like somebody who's been in charge for a long time, like Mad King George or something like that, he's keeping a stranglehold for as long as he possibly can, white knuckling it through this whole thing. He doesn't want to give it up. He doesn't want to go away. He doesn't want to cede power. He never has, and he's resorted to some pretty fucked up stuff to do that. The prince, that is, not Bateman. But Bateman, if I had to guess, is seeing an opportunity. The thing about that family is they're never satisfied with their job, their lot in life. They always want more. They're always trying to get more. They want to be in control. They want to be in charge. They want to be in power. And they'll do whatever it takes to get it, even against their own family. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bateman's making a power play in all of this ruckus. But there's another one. They call him a seneschal. Prince's kid, directly. He's kind of standing in the way. A bit of a buffer, if you will. The vice president, the would-be prince, the secretary of whatever, secretary of state. He's still trying to make things all well and good. And recently, he heard there was a way to do that. He heard that there was a way to buy some time. But he didn't have something he needed. He didn't have me. So they came and found me. They brought me in. And they have me working for them. Now, before you get all bitey, clawy, I don't want to work for them. I don't like working for them. But if it means I can find out more, if it means I can be in the room where it happens, I see that as a benefit. And I've been using that. Part of what I asked for is part of what they need, or what they think they need to stay on top. And I had some ideas of my own. A couple of things I've looked into, a couple of things I've read on that might make that a little more difficult for them. Rather than slowing the process that the bitey prince is going for, it might expedite the process. Might throw a little destabilization into this whole hierarchy of theirs. Cut the head off the snake. How's that for information?
That's very interesting. And how do we help expedite that process?
You've already helped. What you've supplied is a good start. See, the thing about those stick up their ass silver spoon licks is they have a very particular taste. They can only eat a certain vintage. Well, you and your quick thinking and your fiery ways happen to cut that particular stream off. You took away their treats. Now the others, they could go find more. Most of them have done fine. They're getting a little less lazy, having to get some ants in their pants to go out and find it the old-fashioned way, instead of just going to the stop and sip. But you cut off the rare vintage. And I don't know what you did. I don't know how you did it, and I don't need to know. This is the kind of knowledge that could get a guy like me in trouble. But you didn't just cut off a little of it. You cut off all of it. And now they're desperately scrambling to find more. See, the thing with these, we'll call them Ventru, they can eat other flavors. They don't like it, but they can stomach it, kinda. But they hate it. They hate it so much because they are entitled to their flavor. They are entitled to their vintage. And it just makes them, well, they struggle. Let's just say that. But because of what you recovered, I told them I have some. But if they take me out, they'll never find it. I've made myself valuable. And for a while, I can feed them a little bit of their precious brew. But when they get truly desperate, they won't even stop to examine it. They'll take whatever I give them, and what I intend to give them, even I wouldn't drink. And you see how I live. He gestures to the rest of the room.
And what would it do to them?
Well, it's going to piss them off, that's for sure. But with a little added spice, have you ever gone on a bender, like in college or anything? I don't know. I never went to college, but I went to enough college parties.
I can't say I have. No.
Okay, well, picture if you were a fire hydrant. A fire hydrant has multiple spigots, right? Imagine they all opened at the same time. They will evacuate everything in them. And if I can learn what their particular hated flavor is, I might even be able to burn them from the inside out. See, I've been under thumbs like theirs, even theirs, for long enough. I'd love to see them burn. That's why I even agreed to get involved with you in the first place.
How long?
Well, it depends on how much of it they get. Depends on how right-minded they are. Could take days for some of the younger ones, could be instantaneous for some of the older ones. As strong as they are in their abilities, you get the thing that they're allergic to, they'll burn like tissue paper. Because while they stopped aging, they're still as frail as the corpse that they've always been. At least on the inside.
And how do you find out what they're allergic to?
Well, that's the tough part. That's why I got to do a little trial and error, microdosing. Try a couple of things in some of the early vintages to see if they react negatively to any of it. It's risky, but I have something they want bad enough that they couldn't deal with me. I try it. I do a little bit of research, a little bit of notes. and I make it happen. But there is potentially a quicker way. There's something that all the licks are allergic to. Problem is, it's hard to get. And I mean really, really hard to get. But if I were to get some, I could have them gone before you even sneezed.
And what might that be?
Holy water. And I'm not talking your run-of-the-mill dip in the bowl before walking into church, or your street-side prophet, your dogma wave some fingers over a sink type. I need the genuine deal. And why it's so hard to get is because no matter how devout some people are, they don't have that special quality that makes it happen. It's hard to get, to say the very least. Even a cardinal or a bishop might come through and wave their fingers around, and it won't do shit. Lucky for you, I happen to know of a place you might be able to get some. Now, I would do it, but they have done some things to the place that make it a little hard for me to access it. I'm just as allergic as they are. There is a small outpost over in St. Petersburg. See, they had some trouble about a year or so ago with a little group of monster hunters. I shouldn't say little, they're the biggest group probably of all of us, but a group of monster hunters that came into town and were locking down the city. Caused a big stir because they were blowing up buildings, causing all kinds of ruckus. Well, while most of them left, and in the minds of the Fangers, all of them left, they never truly leave. A few of them are known to stay behind, acting like nobodies, passed over, ignored. If you head over there, you get me what I need, I can speed things up, to say the least. But it's not going to be easy. The plasma bank was a walk in the park. Those places aren't heavily defended because the royalty thought they had plenty of them. They could afford to lose one, just start up another one. But because of what you did, and you shut so many of them down, you hurt them deep. But this, home of the monster hunters, the faithful, let's just call them the Inquisition, they're not just looking for licks. They're looking for anything that goes bump in the night. Anything from stories, even wolves. And they'll be prepared to fight back against wolves. Especially if the rumors are true about this place being a hotbed for wolves before.
You said
They
one or
won't.
two of them?
Oh, I don't know. It's a guess, at best. You make enough noise, you'll have the entire holy army down on you, like the licks over the bay did.
How much do you need?
As much as you can get your hands on, honestly. Anything's better than nothing. That stuff is powerful.
And you you may not know this, but it's important to ask. You think they just have on hand, or do they have to make it?
They're going to have a little bit, at least a little bit, assuming they don't have someone capable of making it over there. They're going to have a little bit. They always like to run stocked with whatever they can get. That includes silver. Kind of a be prepared for anything type situation. And I don't know how it'll work on you, but I know that even if we get a little bit of it on us, we start to burn. Might work the same for you, so you're going to have to be careful. For all I know, they could have a closet of super soakers full of the shit over there.
Okay. One last question. Well, two, if you'll indulge me. You said that being under somebody's thumb and being able to pull yourself from that is why you're working with us. But it does seem a bit altruistic. I understand we have similar end goals. Is there something else you're not telling us, or something else you're going to be looking for when everything comes to pass?
Of course.
Care to share?
There's a lot of stories that what was done to us could potentially be undone. One of the things that they said works is killing the one that made you. Well, I did that, albeit by accident, and it didn't work. As much as I love the good looks I've retained for the past 2 decades, being alive forever isn't as good as it sounds. The best part of living is that it ends. It makes you appreciate things more. I want to appreciate things again. And you see him look over towards the laundry on the ground, especially the folded, nicely pieced laundry. I want to give those that I care about the opportunity for that as well, if I can. We aren't natural. We aren't right. It's all glamorous in romance books and movies. The idea of eternal youth, taking what you want, being able to watch ages go by. I'm not about that life. I didn't ask for this. I didn't want this. Nobody should want this. Just like I'm sure some of your kind didn't want what happened to them. So yeah, I have a vendetta. Not just against the one that made me, that got settled. But I've got a vendetta against the one that made them, and the one that made them, and the one that made them. Because even the ones that would want this, even the ones that are yet to be made, they're monsters. Or they're disillusioned. But I also have to survive. I am what I am. I accepted that a while ago. The idea of being something else is great, but I am what I am, and I've got to make the most of it.
The holy water, does that have to be drank to have its effect?
No. No, you sprinkle a bit of that shit on us, it's like getting hit with acid or pepper spray.
Even the stronger ones, the same thing.
All of them. That's
Okay.
one of the things the books got kind of right. The crosses, that's hit or miss. Garlic, especially hit or miss. I loved pasta and Italian food. Sometimes I still go by just to smell it. But the water always works.
Okay.
That's excellent information. Thank you very much.
To take a bit of a suggestion, maybe don't go running headlong into the headquarters of the Holy Warriors. You can find someone who can make it even better. But it's going to be a hard find, and you're going to be looking for a good long while. It's not easy. And you'll know the difference. Even you will know the difference. I'm sure of it. Because neither of us should be here.
All right. Last question. Bloody Mary. What else have you found out?
She is pissed. She thought she wiped you out. And as mad as she is that she didn't, she's also excited that she didn't. Because you and your kind were the last real challenge she had. So she's on a warpath for you. Now, I can tell you based off of recent events, as much as I thought she was in with the police and the gangs, it was a lot deeper than I thought. If she wants it, she can get it. If she needs to make it disappear or make it happen, she can. And she will. Even innocents. Anyone who gets in her way. She is a wrecking ball of a woman with an endless bone to pick. As far as what she's been up to, I couldn't say for sure. But she has heightened. She's enticing others to keep eyes out. And she's not above throwing wave after wave of lick or ghoul or whatever it takes to find you. And she knows about your little special place.
Had a feeling. Yeah.
Old habits die hard. Licks know that better than others. And you, well, you followed the crumb trail. I don't know what's so great about a cemetery, but She knows. And if she hasn't hit you yet, it's because it'd be too easy.
Good to know.
I still don't know where she sleeps. As much as I've found out, as all the digging and bribing and prying as I've tried to do, I still don't know where she sleeps. Sorry. I'll keep looking, but that is sensitive, need to know information that even I can't get.
Thanks for trying. I'm going to assume this is also a sensitive thing that not a lot of people know. Any idea where she eats?
I've never seen her eat. I can tell you that the cutoff that you did didn't seem to slow her down one bit. So I'm guessing she likes it au naturel.
Okay. Well, we'll get you what we can. Gonna reconvene and I'll let you know what we find out and what we can get for you. And as long as we can stay mutually beneficial for each other, I'm willing to do so as long as we need.
If you ever find that it's not mutually beneficial, just give me a heads up. I'll get out of your hair as quickly as possible. I am not about getting in the middle of this. I mean, I already kind of am, but survival instinct.
I understand. I think we've helped each other enough through this that that's the least I could do.
Give you a head start at least.
I'd appreciate it.
I can't promise that if anything goes sideways, he won't eat the raccoon. So
Oh, that one's going first.
Please don't.
As long as we stay mutually beneficial, we should be fine then.
I will do my best.
You St. Pete's kind of a big area. You wouldn't happen to you already narrowed it down from the whole state, but you wouldn't be able to narrow it down further on where exactly to look.
Last I heard, they had a place downtown. If that helps narrow your search. Now, they aren't dumb. They're not going to just sit in one spot. They're going to move around. But as of, and take this with a grain of salt, about a year ago, they were downtown.
Okay.
You sure you don't want something to eat?
I think we'll be all right. Thank you. Thank you for all the information as well, Spud.
Believe it or not, despite our different motivations, I think we want the same thing, and I think that thing is best for everyone.
I agree. But we'll let you get back to your bath soup.
Yeah. One oodle plus one oodle equals toodles.
Sure. We'll see ourselves out.
Wait,
She kind
I
of
don't-
starts like pushing on Aiden's
I don't
back
get
to
it.
start walking out.
As you make your way out, you hear the door close behind you. You hear the variety of locks click shut, the chains getting added, and eventually the sound of the lumber piece being inserted back into place. You head out to the car. Is there anything you wish to say to each other before we move on?
Yes.
Already said something weird about St. Pete's, the weird the place you guys went to about the whole sex thing?
Yeah, there's a sex club down there, but I don't think they'll be there. That would be interesting. I don't know how much holy water can come out of a sex club. So I think we'll be fine on that front. You know how he was talking about like the hierarchy and like the prince and all of that? Did that make sense to you?
Kinda. When he brought it to like the mafia, that I understood that pretty well. So like the prince is like the big guy. Like that's the guy in charge of everyone. The dons are the the prime guys.
Right. And the lineage and all of that. We're gonna go home, we're gonna watch House of the Dragon, and you'll learn all about it.
Ah, I like dragons. All right, cool.
Okay, that's what we'll do.
And I'm driving home, right?
I think you did so well. You take a break. I'll drive.
Cool. All right.
As you climb into the car, Regina gives you no trouble, Aspen, starting up, but you could tell that her temperament isn't great, as she'll occasionally just stutter or like make stops a little sharper than they were before, sending Aiden kind of thrusting forward, getting yanked back by the seatbelt. But you do drive off, having more information, possibly than you could have even bargained for, but also a new task, a new test. And this one has a lot of holes in it. We transition now to a few weeks later. Lucas, you decided, or maybe it was you that decided, that another trip to Piney Point was in order. You definitely got some encouragement from your companion, who felt like he had never eaten as well as he'd eaten before than the last time he was at Piney Point. So on another late afternoon, after driving for over an hour, you find yourself on that same gravel road, outside that same fenced gate, knowing that what lays beyond is probably the same empty factory you'd been to before, but what lays beyond on the other side could be the stuff of nightmares, as it was before, if it hasn't gotten worse. What's going through your head?
It's not that he distrusts Hashgut. He wants Hashgut to be better. But he's starting to think that maybe this is a one-sided operation at this point. And it's time to not be so one-sided.
Okay. So as you're sitting in your truck outside of the fenced-in gate, you can see that the sign that hung on the fence declaring the property has a new banner or marker over the sign that says under new management.
Does it have a name next to the under new management?
Does not.
I'll get out of the car and stand next to the car for a second and then just kind of reach over and pat my pockets, checking to see if, for some reason, something else may have ended up in my pockets again this time.
As you pat your pockets, you don't find anything. Nothing that you hadn't prepared for, nothing that you hadn't brought with you.
All right, he'll head over to the fence. The guard shack that was by the fence previously.
That's actually further in. We're talking about
this is the outer
property
fence.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one that's closest to the road.
Well, we picked the lock once already, so it shouldn't be that hard to pick the lock again.
As you approach this time, you see that the locks have been changed and refurbished, that there's a much thicker steel chain and several padlocks hanging from the chain itself.
No free meals. Not today. All right, I'll use Hair's Leap and hop on over.
Okay.
Make the
Easy
rage
enough,
check.
honestly. After making the rage check, regardless of whether you succeeded or failed, you make the vertical leap, pushing your way over the fence. These fences were meant more as a deterrent than anything else. These weren't going to stop something of supernatural strength and quickness and agility like a Garou. With a soft thud on the other side in almost a superhero stance, dropping to a knee, you land in some of the gnarled, overgrown growth that comes out of the ground on the other side with a cushiony landing. A couple of pinches stick to your leg as a couple of sand spurs from the growing sand spur plants stick into your pant leg.
I'll reach down and pull them out, and then I'll look around. Does it look like there's anything different or unnatural or wrong growing?
Roll me a intelligence, and I'll give you intelligence and science.
I will use my specialty for botany.
Okay.
Three successes.
Looking over the ground and the field beyond that leads to the kind of light woods on the edge of the property, there is a strong concentration of sand spurs growing. Now, this isn't that unusual. Like weeds, they grow in mass, especially in an untended lawn. But it's almost like barbed wire strung all across the grounds. Just these lines and long vines, all these sand spur shoots shooting out with the sharp little caltrop spikes along the edges of the plants. You don't detect anything unusual this far out, but I'll continue to use that check if you proceed further in.
Yeah, we'll start making our way back towards the inner gate.
Since you don't have the benefit of driving this time, it's a little bit longer of a walk. How would you say you're pacing yourself?
Not. I'm not running, but he's going for a good hikey walk. He's kind of enjoying the stretching of the legs at this point.
Okay. So as you take to a quickened pace, a nice jog down the long gravel driveway, you eventually get past some of the more small loping hills, past some of the tree coverage that obscures the facility. Roll me a wits and awareness as you grow closer.
Four successes.
As you round a bend of the twisting gravel path, the facility comes into full view. From a distance, nothing seems different. Nothing's been built or changed about the facility, but what does catch your attention as the sky darkens and darkness reaches across the horizon, extending from the east to the sun setting in the west, you do see security lights on throughout the facility. You do see that the booth at the gate is lit up, and you do see an individual inside of the booth. You also see a couple of vehicles, unmarked, unbranded SUVs parked beyond the fence. You even see the headlights of one moving across the roadway.
All right, time for a change in tactics. Now that the sun has gone down, he'll pull up his hood, and I'll cut away from the road and kind of travel alongside the road, but being a bit more quiet and stealthy now.
Give me a dexterity and stealth.
I'm going to spend a willpower on that. Two successes.
As you try to use the sides of the road as cover, you can see that there's not a lot of trees up close to the facility. There's kind of open pasture between the fence and the further out woodlands that kind of have obscured the facility. Growing closer, you feel that ethereal weight settle on your shoulders, those pinpricks as if claws digging in ever so slightly, just enough, not enough to hurt, but enough to let you know that they are present on each of your shoulders. You even feel the tail wrapping around the front across your collarbone, not enough to constrict your throat, but enough, again, settling on almost as if you were wearing a scarf around your neck. Someone's home.
Yeah. Your meal just got a little bit more complicated tonight.
Or maybe it just got better.
I think we might have a difference on that one. This is going to make matters a little bit more difficult on my end.
Entertaining, though. That last little job you did was very unsatisfying.
Yeah. So if this one's going to be possibly better, what am I going to get out of this?
Are you hungry?
Ashkit, we've known each other a long time.
Yes.
I don't do what you do.
But you could.
And what would that look like?
You feel the weight on your shoulders shift, as if it's repositioning, but also kind of rocking back and forth in consideration. You are a hunter. So am I. We hunt that which is weaker, so that we grow strong. Strength, Lucas. Strength is what's in it for you.
How about this? I don't pretend to be a Thurge. I don't pretend to know a lot about you and your kind and what you do, but he'll reach down and pat the side of his clave. If you could do something with this to make my hunting with it a little easier, a little deadlier.
Are you offering me a home, Lucas?
It would be a really good way for you and me to keep eyes on each other.
It would also be a way for you to stick me in a closet and not talk to me again.
You've been around me way too long to know that I would never leave this thing in a closet.
know, Lucas, you are spending a lot of time around new friends. Friends that don't think like we do.
It's true. You're absolutely right. They don't think like you and I think. But then again, you and I don't think exactly alike either.
No, we don't. Not yet.
But this we can't agree on. If I offer you a home, where this thing goes, but more importantly, what I put it inside, you'll have direct access to. You can feed on as much as you want.
Interesting. I have been getting bored with the quarry of the spirits. You would give me access to the other side. Is that what you really want?
What I want, very specifically, is a way to protect the people I love, to end the things that would bring pain and misery to the people I care about. What you want is to feed on bigger and better things and become stronger. Now, there's not a lot of things we're going to see eye to eye on, but those two things can work together.
Make a charisma and persuasion check. I'll even take an argument for manipulation and persuasion.
Okay, that's better. Two successes. Maximum dice.
Again, you feel the weight shift back and forth on your shoulder. There are two things I need. Give them to me, and I will take your offer. The first, you must learn the right. Second, you must give me what brought me here. What introduced us.
I don't know what that is.
Garou. Life.
And that's the deal.
Use the clave when you know the right. Bury it in the heart. Say the words, and I will inhabit.
We'll see.
We will see. Don't just stand there. They're gonna see you, Lucas.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's go.
You
I'll
proceed
make-
along the road.
Yeah, I'm gonna make my way along the fence line.
As you approach the fence, you hear a loudspeaker click on. Welcome back, a female voice calls out. I wasn't expecting a visit, but please, come in. You hear a whir, and then the gate by the gatehouse starts to open.
Before I walk into the gate, I'm going to take out my phone and I'm going to text into the group chat one of the pictures I took several weeks ago of me at the baseball game that would have been happening tonight, holding a beer and a hot dog. And I'm going to send that. Having a great time. Miss you guys. And then I'll put my phone back in my pocket and head in.
All right. You see the guy at the guard booth just kind of watch you go in, but doesn't make any moves to step in the way or to apprehend you in any capacity. As you step through the gate, you hear the same whirring and then the gate sliding shut behind you. You feel the weight on your shoulders shift again, and then feel the tail unwrap from your throat, and you feel a sudden jolt as if it just leaps off of you. As you walk further into the facility, standing in the parking lot, seeing several of these SUVs lined up. From further in the facility, behind one of the tall silos, another SUV comes rounding the corner, the headlights on. As it pulls up to the front, it stops just in front of you. Behind the driver's seat, you can see a man, looks like a security guard, dressed in a suit, kind of waiting stoically. The back door opens, and stepping out of the back door is the young woman in business attire, pencil skirt, blouse, buttoned-up jacket. Step out, her hair very delicately and neatly put up in a bun. She wears sexy little spectacles that aren't probably for seeing. It's so good to see you again.
Looks like your renovations are not necessarily going very quickly, unless that's the intention of the way it looks.
Things don't need to be rushed. That was the mistake of those that came before. They were in too much of a hurry. Development takes time. Would you like to go for a ride? She gestures to the open door.
Why not?
Before we do that, I promise no harm will come to you here if you can promise the same.
You could say that I'm just out walking my dog. Simple, easy, and harmless.
I ask for a promise. An oath, if you will.
You don't hurt me, no harm will come of you. Here.
Say the words, Mr. Shaw.
No harm will come to you.
You promise?
I promise.
Wonderful. She steps to the side, gesturing to the inside of the vehicle. As you draw closer, you can see that her pantsuit, or her miniskirt and business attire, looks really, really dark black from afar. But as you draw closer, your eyes pick up a hint of like a very, very deep emerald green on the fabric. And as you step in, she shuts the door, moves around to the other side, opens, climbs in the other side. It's not a very long drive, to say the very least. They pull back around, going around behind the silos. And as they move over to a corner of the complex that you haven't seen before, you see a greenhouse come into view. A glass structure. This looks new. And if not new, it looks like it has been either refurbished or repurposed or maintained several of the window panes sheening as if they are brand new, reflecting the light of the stars and moon that are starting to shine up above. You have a knack for botany, do you not, Mr. Shaw?
I do.
Wonderful. Let me show you my garden. And she opens the door and steps out.
When she steps out, I am going to use our pack gift of Scent the True Form.
Okay.
If I can find it.
Let's see if I can help you in this search.
Is it Thurge?
Okay, sense the true form. The
Okay.
Garou is able to smell the true nature of anyone they meet, literally sniffing out an individual's true form and detecting anything that isn't a mundane human. Unless they've met the creature type before, they might not be able to recognize the scent, though. A vulture spirit grants this gift. It is a renowned wisdom, costs 1 willpower, the action is free, and it's a wits and wisdom test.
Okay. Five successes.
5 successes. What you smell is not a mundane human, is not a Garou, is not a kindred. If anything, it's unlike anything you've smelled before. It's a new sensation. And it is definitely foreign.
Okay. I will step out of the car and follow her around towards the greenhouse.
She heads towards these double doors, these glass double doors that lead within. She scans a badge at a little panel reader. The door whirs and then clicks, and she opens it. And she holds it open for you, gesturing inside with a hand.
Step through.
As you step in using the same botany roll that you used before, as you are intellectually aware of plant life, you see an exotic array stretched out in front of you. Vines, flowering plants. As you examine them, some of the blooms bright and colorful, some of the leaves dark and mixed with veins of red and purple and black. You start to recognize something almost immediately, even upon first glance. Everything in this greenhouse is an invasive species. Nothing that is growing here came from here. Nothing is native to Florida. You see a tree further in with long hanging stalks of Spanish moss hanging down. Vines crawling up the sides of installed pickets or posts that have been put in. Off to the side, you see an array of Venus flytraps and other types of species that tend to feed and devour on insects. It is impressive, to be sure. This is quite a collection, and while you could identify many of these species by name, there are several that you couldn't even be sure or begin to guess at where they originate from. Some you've only read about because they come from far reaches of the world, other countries. As the woman walks along, she will occasionally reach out and run her fingers along one of the stalks or one of the leaves sprouting off the plant. Do you like it?
What are your containment protocols in this place? This is massively beautiful and terribly dangerous at the same time. You could upend the entire ecosystem of southern Florida with this one greenhouse.
We wouldn't want that.
But nobody would want that.
Certainly not.
Oh.
Any good gardener knows how to contain. You just have to remind it who's in charge and take the necessary precautions to do so, and punish it when it's been bad.
I mean, I grow some saffron in my apartment, but this is next level. This is impressive. What is this for? This goes beyond a pet project, so don't even begin to tell me it's just something you like to do for fun.
No, there is scientific study. This would be quite the endeavor for just a hobby, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw, the world is a changing and evolving place. We only have a limited view of what can be done. Scientists are stuck under grants and research. They're constantly redirected or underfunded. They're not given opportunity to reach out. They wouldn't even have the knowledge with all of their book learning to know where to look. Only the special, the gifted, can see what the world has to offer. And knowing that there is far more to this world than meets the eye. I want to unlock the secrets of the world. And I have the means to do so. So why shouldn't I?
That's a beautiful idea.
By Benson Boone on
But it's an even better corporate pitch. So why?
Why not? What else are we here for? What's our purpose? Some would be happy wasting their lives away sat at computers, watching other people live, other people explore, other people learn, and the knowledge means nothing. It's a simple click or a swipe away, and it's forgotten. You can know everything and know nothing, all at the same time. There's no more wonder. There's no more intense curiosity. Everyone is sated with what is just shoved in front of their faces, with what is fed to them, hand fed to them, no less. I should know. I've made a pretty good living off of it. But I won't be sated by my own product. if you create it, it doesn't have the same satisfying effect. You are one of those special people, Lucas. Curious, engaged, interested. You wouldn't be satisfied with meaningless dribble of what celebrity is doing what, of what new fantasy novel is gracing the shelves or being turned into a movie. You wouldn't be distracted by trends or gossip. It's what you are. You look for truth. You want to know all the secrets. And I think you enjoy knowing more than those you surround yourself with. Those that would stifle your intelligence or your curious nature. But then you'd miss out on all of this. She looks around the greenhouse again. All of this and much, much more.
So you're an idealist. Okay. I mean, most people in this field are. You plant something in the ground and you just hope that it does what it's supposed to do.
And if it doesn't, I encourage it to.
There's ways to do that. So once you've gathered all this knowledge and you understand the secrets of everything that's here, and you've tapped that vein for all that it's worth, then what?
Mr. Shaw, you and I know that vein goes a lot deeper than even the smartest, or those that claim to be the smartest, know. This is a well that doesn't run dry, Mr. Shaw. It's deep, expansive, endless, ever changing, ever shifting. When something grows, it dies, it rots, and it seeds the ground for something new to grow.
That's the cycle. That's what it's
Yes.
supposed to do.
But you and I both know that there are things that interfere with that cycle.
Well, yes. There needs to be balance.
And do you believe there is a balance, Mr. Shaw?
No. No, there's not.
Why do you think that is?
There's a lot of reasons for that. There's a lot of interference in keeping things the way that they are, not letting things go back to what they started as, and not letting that natural cycle continue in its circle. So many things out there.
Yes. So many things. Perhaps the cycle needs a fresh start. It needs that which holds on, that which persists, that which fights back against the natural order of things, to let it take its course so that it can start anew.
Idealist. That's fair. I like it. It sounds nice. Why did you bring me here? I mean, you know who I am. I don't even know your name.
You can call me Vanessa.
Vanessa.
Why did I bring you here? Because I believe you are an intellectual. You are open-minded. You are willing to look in the places others don't deign to look. And besides, I thought your friend would still be hungry.
Yeah, he does that.
Well, he shouldn't starve.
No. Maybe you're not wrong. Maybe I am willing to see things differently than a lot of other people out there. It doesn't mean I'm going to do business the same way that you do business.
Nor would I ask you to or expect you to. You should find your own way, your own path. You have been walking a path that's been laid out before you for most of your life. Whether you
Yeah.
believe it or not, Lucas, most of the decisions that you still make are the ones you were taught to make, programmed to make.
So what now?
What would you like to be now? What is your deepest desire?
For the second time tonight, to keep the people I care about safe.
And who do you care about? Who do you truly care about?
We're not that good of friends yet.
Fair enough. But it's a question for even you to consider. Is it you who cares? Or is it what you've been taught to care? What you've been trained to care? Maybe even what you've been bred to care.
Yeah, something to think about.
I do enjoy our conversation. I had a feeling when I first came upon you that you would be a good conversation to have.
This is amazing, and I do deeply appreciate you bringing me here to see this. This makes me happy in ways that I have not been happy in a long time. So I appreciate you for that. And I'm glad that you showed it to me.
Could I ask a favor?
You can ask.
I think it's something that's not too much of a stretch for you. You like books, yes?
Yeah.
Have you ever read The Secret Garden?
I don't think I have.
Pick it up. Give it a read. Lucas, what I would ask is that this be our secret garden. And based off of the company you keep, I don't think secrets are too much of a problem for you.
Not often. But whoever's funding this, I'd ask that you keep me a secret from them too.
It would be my pleasure. Don't worry, they wouldn't be concerned with you anyway.
Okay.
With that, she leads you on in silence, walking through the lines and lines of these growing plants. The scents, while they seem like they would be clashing, considering the variety of flowering plants and vines and growths, there's a strange harmony to all of them in the way that they blend together. Now, you can't tell if this is manufactured. You can't tell if there's something about the way they're arranged or something about the filtration in the building. But it's not an assault to the senses. If anything, it's rather muted. After walking for a while longer through this massive, massive greenhouse, she leads you back to the front door, outside to the vehicle. I hope you'll call on me again. I do enjoy visitors.
Sure, at some point, I'll have to take my dog for another walk.
I'm sure you will. Your team won, by the way, 4-1. And with that,
Good.
the car drives up to the front gate. The driver, actually climbs out of the car and walks around to open your door. And you see the gate beyond whirring open.
I'll give her a little salute and I will head out.
Walking out, just as you pass the threshold of the gate, you feel the spindly little nails climb up your side, settling on your shoulders. And this time, they feel heavier still. A satisfied weight of heavy breathing just settling on your shoulders. A contented hiss emanating in your ears. And with that, we bring tonight's story to a close. But before we do, we transition once more to a tall, tall building in downtown Tampa. We find ourselves in an office once again. We find Edward Bateman sat behind a desk in his well-cut custom suit. And across from him, Mary. She drops another folder on the desk, and Bateman opens it. He leafs through a few pages and looks up at her. And how did you get this? Hi. Our operative. He's got keen eyes. He seems to be getting more and more familiar with the situation. Very good. I think it's time we move forward. It'll be done. He then drops the folder onto the table, and several photographs spill out on the desk. One of them is of a Jeep parked alongside the road, abandoned. The license plate in clear view. And the other is of a park in the north of Tampa. And that is where we bring our session to a close. Thank you so much to these incredible players for playing with us here tonight. Thank you so much to everybody watching. We are back. And if you really enjoyed our theme song, I'm going to be releasing it on our podcast. So if you're following our podcast, I will be dropping the song itself as its own separate stream, download, what have you, so that you can enjoy the new theme song of Rage Across Tampa. Go check out our social media listed down below and keep an eye on our schedule because we have some shows coming back, including What the Hell Is That, which will be back on Friday. On Saturday, we have After Dark with a wonderful storyteller from Turkey named Onur Temel. And then on Sunday, we are going to have the return of Bloody Strings. So all of our programming is coming back. We've missed you over the past month, but stay tuned because there is a lot more to come. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope you have a lovely evening. Good night, everybody.